Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. We will get the scenarios up here momentarily on social. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. We're here for the next couple of hours. Much to do on the program today. In just a couple of minutes, Maryland quarterback Billy Edwards is going to join us. He's had to pitch in after Talia Tagovailoa went down in the Indiana game a couple games ago. Got them back to a victory in that one, then beat Northwestern on Saturday. Has played admirably. We'll see if he's needed further. Maryland has a bye this week, and they host Wisconsin. No, they travel to Wisconsin the following week. I'm going to go to that, by the way. I'm going out to Wisconsin. I'm going to Scotty.
Are you really?
Supposed to go to New Orleans for the Ravens game, and unfortunately, Mrs. Clark didn't realize that she would need to take an extra day off because the game was on Monday night. Really screwed everything up. And so we're like, well, what are we going to do? And she had some family in Wisconsin, and I'd never been to a game in Madison. And so I was like, look, I'm down. And we found some things that she might be interested in doing. So we had the weekend off. We're going to go. We're just going to go. That's the plan. We're going to go take the weekend and head out to Scotty and see Maryland play Wisconsin, which is cool because I hear it's an amazing atmosphere for a football game. I hear it's unbelievable. My buddy Tommy Knight, the former Ravens cornerback, he used to coach there, and he was like, dude, there's nothing like game day in Madison. I'm like, all right, I'll go check it out. So we're going to go see if Billy Edwards is needed again or if Talia is back in time for that. Also coming up this morning, Brian Billick, he pitched in and did the radio call for the Ravens game this past Sunday against the Browns. We'll get some thoughts on what he saw from the Ravens in their victory as they move forward. A.Q. Shipley, former Ravens offensive lineman, who you see pretty regularly now with the Pat McAfee and as part of his crew. I'm sorry. I don't really watch or listen to the Pat McAfee show. It's not, no offense. It's not like I hate the guy. I happen to know that he gets a lot of content that goes out and people like, and he was doing some video breakdown on the Ravens schemes, and so we wanted to catch up with A.Q. Shipley, who was a guy I really liked during his time here in Baltimore. And Drew will join us for better or for worse. We will play Would You Rather Wednesday, all coming up on a Wednesday edition of the program. It was a really lonely Tuesday night with no significant sports to watch.
Yeah, the Warriors-Suns game was good for half.
I mean, until the third quarter, until Klay Thompson got ejected, the Warriors-Suns game was tremendous. Now, it started late, so you had to wait for it. It was excellent. I mean, it felt like a playoff basketball game right up until the point where Klay Thompson got ejected, which is weird because it's not like Klay Thompson's even all that good anymore.
I guess they have more three-point shooters. So
it was weird that they just sort of fell apart at the moment that Klay Thompson got ejected, and that game became vastly unentertaining in the fourth quarter, which was a bummer because it was really good right up until that moment. Klay Thompson, running his mouth, pointing to look, man, I'm a Suns fan, so it hurts, but Klay Thompson being like, y'all can run your mouth all you want. I got 4 of these. Where are yours? I can't be mad. He's got a point. He is 100% accurate about that. He's got 4 rings. The Suns have never won one. Came within 2 games of one, and trust me, I'm still not over it a couple years ago, but never have won a title. So, it was a kind of a lonely Tuesday night.
Yeah, Wizards won pretty easily.
You are the only person that cares. No one
There's
else.
got to be 1 or 2 others.
No, there are not. You are the only human being that gives a rat's ass about that. I mean, blessings. Look, I wish well for Will Barton. Good guy. Glad he came on the show, but don't care. Couldn't possibly get me to. Maybe Billy Edwards does. He's from Northern Virginia. Maybe he's a Wizards fan. Who knows? Actually, probably not. Nobody down there is a Wizards fan either. Today's show brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Well, it's a pleasure for us to welcome in quarterback at the University of Maryland, the man who has pitched in quite nicely these last couple of weeks, guided the Terps to their 5th and 6th wins of the season. He is Billy Edwards, and he's with us now here on GCR. Billy, it's Glenn up in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us.
I appreciate you guys having me. How we doing?
Everything is great, man. I imagine things are pretty good for you, right? Take me through the decision that you made when you decided to sort of switch things up in your life and come to the University of Maryland. You knew, who was in front of you on the depth chart. You knew what the situation was here. Why was this still the right move for you to end up back near home here at the University of Maryland?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the major factors that I took into consideration, obviously the scheme and my familiarity with it, with the coaching staff, with Coach Loxley, Coach Enos, Coach Miller, and then obviously it being close to home. I think it was a perfect fit in the sense of I could, do everything I wanted to do on the field and off the field here while also doing it, 35 minutes away from home and be able to do it close to my family and have the option to go home or see them whenever I want to. So kind of taking those big three things into consideration made this really an easy choice at the end of the day. After, I weighed all my options in the transfer portal, but I'm definitely, glad I made the decision and happy it's all working out up until this point.
Yeah, it's definitely working out up until this point. There's no doubt about it. Take me back a couple of games ago, Billy, right? Because you had to come in, obviously, in the Michigan game earlier this season. But the Indiana game was a really unique circumstance. I don't want to say that was like a must-win. It's hard to ever call games must-wins, right? Like, it's a weird way of describing it. But I think that was one that most people thought was more necessary. And in the circumstance where you hop in there, like, this team needed a jolt. What's going through your mind as you get out on the field, on the road, in a game that's really important for your team to win and trying to come in cold in that situation?
I think just my mindset when I won that game, obviously, I think there was like 11 or 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We were down 4 or whatever it was really just do my job because, I have plenty of playmakers around me, both, that I can hand the ball off to, throw the ball to. We got a good offensive line. Like, just do my job and don't make it bigger than it is. Because if I can do my job and get the ball in those guys' hands, then obviously, things will take care of themselves. And I think that's what you guys saw in the fourth quarter was, everyone on the offense, whether it was O-line blocking, the receivers making, blocks in the secondary, the running backs running, whatever it was, everyone just kind of did their job and we were able to move the ball in those last 2 drives and get two, big scores, I guess you could say,
no doubt,
to get a lead and win it. So that was just going through my head, try to not make it bigger than it is, and just relax and do my job.
It is Billy Edwards from the University of Maryland. He's with us here on GCR. How much confidence did that give you going into this past Saturday against Northwestern? Just, the way things unfolded in that fourth quarter. I'm sure you're a confident person and you were going to believe no matter what, but how much did it help to have had, that time and the success with the guys building off of that for last week and playing against Northwestern?
I think it definitely played a big role. I think, all the times I've gotten in the game this year, no matter what the situation was, it's definitely given me some confidence, but I think that situation was definitely a key one in the sense of, I kind of answered that question, to myself in my head where, I went to a game when it wasn't, out of reach or whatnot. It was crunch time. It was, like you could say a maybe must-win situation. And, I went there and didn't make it bigger than it is. And, we executed the offense at a high level in that fourth quarter. So I think that definitely gave me some confidence, for this next game that we just played, but also going forward is, whenever I get the opportunity, don't make it too big, don't make it bigger than it is sort of thing and just relax. And if you guys, take care of business, then it'll come a lot easier than, people may think. So.
I think it was really important, man. I think it showed. I think there's no doubt about it. I got to ask you because I heard in the post-game press conference you said, or maybe it wasn't post-game, whatever. I heard something about what your dad told you about your performance, and it's maybe my favorite thing ever. So your dad, for people that don't know, is a coach himself. And what did he say about your performance?
He said you did fine, but there are lots of things to learn from. Typical dad response for start, but. It was all good. We obviously talked about it more as the week went on and we watched it, but did some good things, did some things to learn from. So, like I said, it was a typical dad coach response. But
did you expect that when you chatted with were you over there like thinking that he was going to say, "Oh man, that was the greatest thing I've ever seen. I'm so proud of you," or just knowing him, did you know like he was going to be the first person to say, "Yeah, that was good, but you can do better"?
Yeah, I think I expected pretty much what I got, but in the sense of, and that's why I asked him is I appreciate obviously the truthfulness in whatever his answers is, because obviously, he'll tell me how he sees it. So I think that was probably why I went to him first and asked. I was like, give it to me honest. Good, bad.
That's awesome, man. I love that, and it's a very cool relationship that you have with him. Billy, being around Leah, obviously, right, and someone who appears to be pointed towards a pro future and playing in the NFL, and obviously, with a brother who's playing at a very high level in the NFL. How has that experience helped you? How just being around someone who plays the game at such a high level? How has that helped made you better or made you more prepared for these moments these last few weeks?
I think, even ever since I got here in the summer, I think the quarterback room as a whole, but definitely Leah, with the experience he has, just try to pick his brain on stuff because he's played a whole lot more football than I have, especially at the collegiate level. So just pick his brain, and then obviously I'm always asking him questions, and I asked him like later in the week, this past week before Northwestern, about like his first start, and we talked about that for a little bit, and how obviously after this past week, my first start, it was a lot different than his, but always just picking his brain because he's been around the block, and he's done some really good things in college football. So just trying to learn as much as I can from him. So whenever he goes on to the next level, that I can take as much from him as I can and use that to my advantage. But that's the same thing with the whole quarterback room. We got a lot of older guys. It's pretty split room, but especially with those older guys, I'm always trying to pick their brains and learn anything I can. As I get older, as I move forward in my college career, there's always things to be learned from other players. So it's been a great room to be a part of, and there's a lot of good personalities in that room, both on and off the field. So I thoroughly enjoy them.
I want to go back to what I asked at the beginning, because I should have said this then. You could be a lot of places in the country right now where you'd obviously be starting at a bunch of different levels, right? Like there are plenty of places within the country where you would have been the guy. Did it require yourself? Did it require you to humble yourself a little bit to come to Maryland, or can you take me through that part of it, like knowing you were going somewhere where you wouldn't be the guy, but you would have an opportunity that was good, versus being at so many different places anywhere in the United States where you would definitely be the guy starting every week this season?
I think that just goes back to like my family and the people that, in my support system that I, discuss those factors with. Cause I think at the end of the day, it's college football. You're going to have to compete regardless of where you go. You're never really going to go somewhere and be handed the job or gifted the job. In that sense, you got to earn whatever you get. And obviously, looking at the quarterback situation at Maryland before coming here, that's obviously something you take into consideration regardless of where you're looking. But at the end of the day, it came back to those big things of being able to do it close to home. The system I knew I was going to be in here with the coaching staff and the offense, and my familiarity with it, and just, it really felt like it was perfect in all places. So, but that's something, you consider, I think, at the end of the day. And obviously as I get older, in college football, you learn to understand it a little bit more. You gotta compete regardless of where you go. And I obviously had, faith in myself that I could go to a Power 5 school, in the transfer portal, and prove that I could play at the Power 5 level. So that was kind of, I guess my mindset with that too is, you got to take a chance on yourself and go to a school that you feel fits you the best, both on the field and off the field. And then when you get there, you got to go work and earn everything you get. So.
Well, here you are playing well and winning games in the Big Ten. That's a pretty cool story, man. It's a pretty cool way for it to work. Can we be in agreement that there's no world in which an offensive lineman doing a cartwheel should be worthy of a 15-yard penalty? Can we actually agree that it should probably be the opposite? Like you should get an extra 15 yards if an offensive lineman can do a cartwheel?
I agree on that. When I saw that out of the corner of my eye, I was just like, what did I just see?
Dude, it was so cool.
Oh, yeah, I was like, whoa. I was like, did I see that correctly?
Did you know
he probably did it.
Did you know he could do it?
He did it better. Jahari did that better than I could have done that if I tried. So I was like, whoa.
Oh, man. I imagine he did have to get a little bit of grief on the sideline because, 15 yards could be a big deal in a game. But at the same time, come on, man.
He definitely got his fair share of grief, but when we saw the the end zone camera angle of it, I believe, on Twitter. That was we definitely got a good laugh out of that. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. And how much does it help stepping into obviously what you can do with your legs and your running is incredible, but being in this role and it might continue, right? Like we don't know exactly when it's going to be for Leah. How much does it help to have this group of wide receivers out on the field that you're like, only maybe, one of the 2 or 3 best wide receiver rooms in the country that you get to throw the ball to?
Oh yeah. Going back to, what I said earlier in terms of when I go out there, I got playmakers all around me, whether it's, the stacked receiver room, the stacked running back room, our tight end room, whatever it is. Whenever I'm in there behind center and I'm looking to my left and right, I have nothing but full faith in whatever receiver is out there that, they're going to get open, they're going to run the route, and they're going to make a play. So it definitely, is a little bit settling when I go in there to just, I just got to get the ball in their hands. I just got to find a way to get the ball in their hands. And they're really going to do the hard work. It's just my job to get them the ball and let them do their thing. So it definitely is, we got an elite wide receiver room, and, we just got to continue to get the ball in their hands and, let them do their thing. And, that should obviously help us, continue to be efficient on offense and hopefully keep making explosive plays. So
yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. And how do you handle this? I guess I'll be the last one for you. How do you handle this sort of unknown? Like, obviously this is the nature of being number 2 on the depth chart, right? Is you just don't know from week to week. You guys have the bye this week, but then the trip to Wisconsin following that. How do you handle kind of the unknown of what your role is going to be?
Just continue like what I've done the whole season. And, prepare like I'm the starter. And, if I'm not, I'm not. I'm obviously going to be one play away. So you just got to prepare like the starter and obviously just make sure, if my number does get called, I'm ready. So I think that's the mindset I've carried with myself all year. And, I just got to continue to do that for, this last half stretch of the season and, just stay ready for whenever my number's called. So
right.
keep doing what I'm doing. I guess that's what I tell myself.
You've proven yourself plenty capable of handling that responsibility, and it's been very fortunate for the University of Maryland and for Maryland fans to know that in this situation they had somebody like you to turn to. Hey, this is a great question from Chris. Chris says, hey, if your father was a coach, do you already see yourself? Do you see yourself? Like, does coaching seem like it might be something that's in your future?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
That's definitely I'm planning on getting a degree in communications, but as soon as, whenever my football playing days are over, that's definitely something I'll give a shot and we'll see if it sticks like it has on my dad and my brother.
That's cool, man. That's really, really cool. Hey, Billy, what can we plug for you social media-wise? Twitter, Instagram. Where can Maryland fans be giving you a follow?
Twitter and Instagram, both the same, Billy_Edwards4.
Give him a follow there, Billy_Edwards4. Hey, Billy, congratulations on being in this situation and handling yourself as well as you have the last couple of weeks. Can't wait to see what's next for you, man. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
I appreciate you guys.
Billy Edwards, University of Maryland quarterback, checking in with us early this morning here on GCR. He has really performed quite admirably. I mean, as well as you could possibly imagine. And I think, unfortunately, Maryland football fans are keenly aware of a number of times over the years where they've had to turn to backup quarterbacks and yeah. Now, of course, there have been plenty of times over the years where the starting quarterback, unfortunately, was not much when it came to the University of Maryland in semi-recent history. So to be able to have someone who has handled himself as well as Billy Edwards has, obviously offers a bit of a threat with his legs, has been a huge boost for Maryland over these last couple of weeks. And look, he even played well when he came into the Michigan game earlier this season. Couldn't quite, get that over the hump. There, some controversy involved in that game. But he's handled himself well. Has he been brilliant? Does he, look like a Heisman Trophy winner? No, I'm not going to try to oversell it. But he's really handled the situation very well, and he's played well in those circumstances, which is somebody we had on earlier this year that was doing a Maryland game brought that up. We were talking about what realistically Maryland could be. I don't remember, I know we've had Anthony Herron on a couple times. I don't remember, who, if it was him. I don't remember who it was, but somebody said, like, hey, when I look at Maryland, one of the other factors in them is that they've got a backup quarterback who can play. Like, they've got someone who I would trust if he has to play a game or two. Again, do I think Billy Edwards, would I feel good about their chances if they got to go to, Penn State in a few weeks with Billy Edwards playing? It'd be tough. That'd be tough. Not that I feel great about their chances even with Leah playing, right? Like, it's going to Penn State's a different animal. I think going to Wisconsin's going to be hard. Honestly, I think it's going to be very difficult going to Wisconsin. But, it's still a very neat story that this young man has stepped up and pitched in and, played as well as he has to keep Maryland afloat, get them their 6th win. All right, today's show also brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. The best place to watch and bet on every game is the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, because they now, starting today, have cash-out offers for you on your parlay bets. So you go make your parlay bet today. First leg or 2 hits, and you're just like, I don't know, maybe let me see. You wander on over to the machine, you scan your ticket, and they tell you what you can cash out for. And then you get to make those decisions. That's new as of today in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. And as you know me, I am the cash-out king. The answer will always be cash out. Oh, I made a $5 bet and I can make $8? Yep. That's called profit. That's what that's called. You might make decisions a little bit differently than I would, but I 100% am the cash out king. So get to the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. Take advantage of that. You can still register your Super Bowl futures bets, $25 or more at FanDuel.com/SBNAZ in order to win tickets to the Super Bowl and much more. We are just one day away from Ravens Buccaneers, which is very weird. I've never, I like Thursday Night Football. Unlike the rest of you that complain about Thursday Night Football, I'm glad we have it, because what the hell else would we be doing on Thursday nights? Whenever anybody complains about Thursday Night Football, I'm like, yeah? What do you want to watch? You need to catch up on. I would like to catch up on Wrexham, actually. I got a couple more episodes in. That's how lonely of a Tuesday night it was. I was able to get a few more episodes in, so I'm like 3 episodes into Wrexham now. I'm like, what exactly do you want to have on Thursday nights?
I think I saw somewhere somebody said like it starts after Thursday. It starts like 27 straight days of football, because I guess like midweek action starts.
Oh God, that doesn't. Nobody's. I mean, like,
what do you mean nobody?
I say nobody. If you're a degenerate, you might be watching. I'm not actually watching Maction or Fun Belt action.
You don't want to see
Wednesday night.
Northern Illinois and.
No, I don't.
In Ohio?
Never done anything for me, ever.
Or Buffalo and Kent State?
I get it. If you're looking for something to bet on, it gives you something to bet on, and that's happy. That makes you happy. College basketball is what will carry me.
Yeah.
So I still need to get a couple of weeks in before, like that. I'll be watching college basketball every night. That'll happen. Yesterday, the Ravens listed the following players: Ronnie Stanley, Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, as not practicing. Now, again, this is a very weird week because they don't really practice. Everything is essentially a walkthrough for a Thursday night game. But that ain't good still. They're choosing to list them as non-participants. That's concerning. There will be one more injury report today, and as long as they're not listed particularly Andrew, those 3 guys, because they also listed Calais Campbell as not practicing, but they said he had an illness, and they listed Josh Bynes as not practicing. He got banged up on Sunday. You got one more day, but there's no way to not be concerned 2 days away from the game that those 3 guys were listed as not participating in practice. We'll continue to monitor that, obviously, ahead of tomorrow night's game. When we come back in, Drew Forrester will join us, drewsmorningdish.com. We will play Would You Rather Wednesday. I got to try to get those scenarios up quickly. Running behind. It's a tradition unlike any other on a Would You Rather Wednesday here on Glenn Clark Radio.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, New Maryland basketball coach Kevin Willard sits down with Stan Charles and Glenn Clark to discuss the situation he inherited in College Park and how he plans to get the program turned around. Also, inside, we introduce you to men's and women's college basketball players from all of the teams in the area. And Bo Smoka profiles Ravens receiver Devin Duvernay. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code TAILGATE. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
Join Glenn at halftime of every Ravens game for the Project Game Day halftime show at facebook.com/PressBoxSports. We apologize in advance. There's not much we can do about his face.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There's, it's what it is. I've managed to overcome it over the years, and I feel like I deserve some sort of award for that. It is glory. It is Would You Rather Wednesday, presented by Glory Days Grill. I promise the scenarios are about to be up at facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio and at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter. Today's show, maybe not brought to you, but instead just a reminder that Stan the Fan Charles and Ross Grimsley had an awesome conversation earlier this week with Mike Boddicker, former Orioles legend. If you missed it, you can find it right now, facebook.com/PressBoxSports, PressBoxOnline.com/video, or YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. Coming up tonight, Stan the Fan. Oh, this is somebody that's in your life, Griffin. And Griffin, of course, is the voice of Concordia Prep football.
They're having Coach Joe on?
Their Coach Joe Battaglia
All
will
right.
join
Coach
Stan
Bats.
the Fan Charles and Gary Stein this evening on Facebook Live for a chat about what they're doing.
Concordia into a powerhouse in like 2 years. Like they're what are they, top 20 in Maryland?
This is your ticket. This is your opportunity. You can be the voice of the champs, and then you I believe you go right from there to the Final Four. I think
sick. Okay.
I think that maybe Iron Eagle might have to watch out. By the way, that was some news that came across this week. I love Iron Eagle. I really love Iron Eagle. This has been long overdue. And this is a very difficult thing whenever we have these conversations because I like Jim Nance, and Jim Nance has been so absurdly nice to me over the years. But Jim Nance in college basketball's always kind of felt like an awkward, you're doing it because you have to, whereas Ian Eagle and Kevin Harlan have always felt much more natural in those roles. Of course, if I'm being honest, I actually think Gus Johnson should be the guy doing the Final Four. I think he should be the voice of the NCAA tournament, but he got away from CBS a couple years ago, and that's been a bummer. But Iron Eagle's Iron Eagle, and he's going to be golden in that role. In fact, I might sneak a fourth Would You Rather Wednesday scenario in because I think maybe Ian should have another role. I think maybe he or Kevin. By the way, it was Kevin doing the Suns game last night, which made it all again for what it was such a thriller for the first three quarters. This incredible basketball game earlier in the season with Kevin Harlan calling it. Candace Parker's very good in that role as well, by the way. They've got her now working with that crew with Reggie Miller, and she's very good at that. So I enjoyed that a great deal. It was a lovely evening, but I think Ian Eagle will be outstanding in his new role as he will take over as the voice of the Final Four, starting next year. I guess this season, Jim Nantz is going to do it for one final time, and then starting next year, Ian Eagle will be the voice of the Final Four for CBS. Does not appear to be Jim Nantz retiring, just stepping away from that specific role. I believe, in fact, that Jim Nantz has told everyone over and over and over and over and over again that he wants to do the Masters 50 times before he retires. 50 times. And I think somebody said recently he's at like 36. So, there's a good ways to go for Jim Nantz with the Masters. I think Jim Nantz is the definitive voice of golf. So I think that makes all the sense in the world that he would continue to be that guy for CBS, calling golf, being the voice of the Masters, being the voice of PGA Championship, and all of their weekly tournaments throughout the year. I think it makes all the sense in the world. I've thought for some time that some of their other voices might be better fits for some of their other marquee properties. I think Kevin Harlan doing the Super Bowl would make an awful lot of sense. I think Ian doing the Super Bowl would make an awful lot of sense. But it's neither here nor there. We'll save that for another day. The news this week was that Ian Eagle will take over as the voice of the Final Four. Oh, is he here? That's what's going on? Who keeps inviting him? This is kind of...
You just call me?
Yeah, did you not tell him that you were coming in? Like, maybe mention, like, I'm planning on stopping by. That might be... I know you haven't done this for a long time. Although, didn't I see that you're doing radio again?
It's your number. You called me just now.
Yes. What are you doing?
Am I doing something on November 6th?
I believe that, the week that I'm going, they need you to come in and do 5 to 7:30 or something like that.
5:30 to 7, I thought it was. Or 5 to 7:30.
I'm pretty sure it's 5 to 7:30.
What is it? What do I do?
Yeah, I know this.
No, I mean, the Ravens
awkward
aren't
for you.
playing.
I understand that. You're coming in and just doing a talk show. Do you remember those?
I have no idea what.
Why did you say
I'm,
yes?
Yeah,
That was
let me just look and see because
mistake.
I may need. What, you can't do it?
No, I'm going to Madison that weekend. I'm going to go see
What's it say here?
Maryland
5
play
to
Wisconsin.
7:30.
Yeah.
That's another $400 I don't need.
Right. I'll tell you what. You can give it to Bruce instead. Just go ahead and say.
Well, I'm back on the air 5 to 7:30 next Sunday talking about
this is an honest to God
during
question.
golf going on that day.
Yeah, what are you going to do for 2.5 hours?
I
don't know what you're interested in.
Haven't thought about it.
Like, are you going to try to do a legitimate show, or are you just going to?
Well, there's NFL games going
That's
on.
what
Right?
are
The
you
Ravens
just gonna
play
watch?
the Ravens play the next day.
Yeah, they play in New Orleans. Are you just going to watch the games and sort of react to them as they're going on? Like, what is your strategy for doing like you did the golf stuff obviously this past year, but when was the last time you did a talk show? You sat down and did. Has it been since 2014?
You're getting me to the point where I might not want to do it.
Well, I when I saw your name on the schedule, I was admittedly a little confused.
Yeah, I don't know. The last time I did anything was with Cunningham, and John Buren called in.
You filled in this summer.
John Buren called in, and we almost had to.
I heard about that.
We almost had to shut the station down.
Yeah, way to go. First time back.
Way to go, John.
First time back.
So I don't know.
Yeah, but you had Cunningham there to tell Bear Bryant stories for 4 hours.
That's all we did.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I'll figure it out, though.
Will you?
Well, they can't be any worse than what you guys do on Sundays.
Oh, I assure you it can be. You barely prepared when you were the host of a morning show.
Oh, here he is again. Oh, no, this is my wife.
Okay.
Talk to her real quick, just to make sure she's okay. Hello, I'm on with Glenn Clark. Are you okay?
Drew Forrester's here. Drew's Morning Dish.
Everything all right? Say hi to everybody.
Hi, Joe.
Say hi.
How are you?
Say hi to her. All right.
How we doing?
Bye-bye.
Towson basketball starts soon. That's exciting. We're excited. Towson basketball should be good.
Football not going so well.
I'm aware. That's why I brought up basketball, Drew. I didn't bring up football. I brought up basketball.
I was at a wedding on Saturday, and it was it might have been, the wedding was at 3. I mean, the reception was going on. It was 5 o'clock or something. And I'm like, oh, Towson.
Yeah.
Let me see how they're doing.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Let me just see how they're doing. 30 to 3 at the half.
Right. No, I'm aware. Again,
at home.
There's a reason why I brought up basketball
at home, right.
and not football. The basketball team looks like they're going to be pretty good this year.
Okay.
I didn't really want to bring up
There's a topic
football.
for next Sunday.
That we're going to plan on talking about.
Get Pat Scarry to call in a little bit.
Pat's coming in here on Monday. What day is that?
Well, I might have Pat. I
Next
might.
Monday.
I might
this
be able to
Monday.
call in.
Pat's-
Get Pat to call in that day. That might be good, actually.
There you go.
It's Sunday.
Now
it's
you got one segment out of 10
20,
that you
20
have
minutes
to do.
of 20 minutes of basketball talk on a Sunday. I mean, I guess the question is, how many? I mean, I'm going to be totally serious about this. Like, I'm not going to talk any golf. There's no golf to be talked about. So the only thing that anybody cares about on a Sunday is football.
Right. But the question is, do
The
you
World
just,
Series will be over.
So like the
No.
national,
Not
yeah,
necessarily.
No, it'll be
First game's Friday.
Friday, Saturday. Then they're off Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They're off Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it would
Okay.
be,
So, I could do a little bit of
yeah,
baseball talk.
if it goes to 7 games,
It's not, by the
sure.
way.
Oh, I don't think it is, but dude, the Phillies
Did you
have
see
played
what they
really
did to
well.
the
I
Yankees?
understand the Phillies have just played really well. If I had to bet, we were talking about this yesterday. I would bet the Phillies to cover, the Astros to cover. They're a 1.5 favorites.
So Philly doesn't win 2.
No, Philly could still win 2 because if it was 4-2, that would cover a 1.5. It just means it won't go to 7. That's it.
If you took the Astros,
Minus a 1.5, then as long as it doesn't go to 7, you're good. They would win 4 games to 2. They're winning by 2 games. They're favored by a 1.5. That
Okay.
would cover a 1.5 if they win by 2 games. It's like a final score. If you're favored by 1.5 and you win by 2, you covered.
I don't think that's true.
Yes. What are you? This is something like you bet everything. How
Okay,
do you
hold
not
on.
get this?
If you're minus 1.5,
Yes. It means you have to win by 2 in order to cover.
On the series.
Yes. Why is this so difficult?
yeah, this shouldn't be like this. Dude, I
it's
haven't
not
gambled.
for me.
I haven't gambled for
Like for
Sunday.
minutes. Yeah, I understand. Right.
No, I
Since
don't.
you put a couple bets in on the way in here.
I guess you're right.
Yes, I'm definitely right.
Because 3 would be 2.5.
What?
3 would be minus 2.5.
Yes. Wait, what? I don't know. What
Yeah,
you're
No.
Say 1 4-1.
If they
4-1
if
or
they-
4-0.
Yes, if they're
Like the series.
if they
4-0,
were
like a sweep.
minus
They were minus a half, 4 to
then
3.
4-3 would cover,
Minus
right?
one
Then
and a
you'd
half.
just be betting them to win the
Oh,
series
okay.
at that point.
They're not
they're-
winning 2 games.
Well, then you're definitely
Here we go.
covered.
We're gonna start. We're gonna start this all
I
over
don't-
again.
I was told. I was
No,
to
we're not.
understand there would be no man.
yeah, gosh.
I was to understand that wouldn't be part of the equation.
Okay.
All right, so you're gonna
Anyway.
I tell you what, leave this out from 105.7 Fan. Maybe don't do this segment
Maybe-
when you host on the Fan.
Maybe stay away from.
Yeah, right.
I get it.
I just remembered I got to host this Sunday, and I'm not thrilled about that.
Oh yeah, there's 0 going on there, right? I mean, everybody is out.
Well, you know what the local. By the way, so you know what the game is that's available on local TV on Sunday afternoon. So of course
Redskins and whoever. I mean, no, Redskins.
that's exactly what it is.
Commanders
The
and
Commanders,
whoever.
Colts.
Oh my gosh.
That's Sam
Dude, what
Ellinger
about
versus
those guys?
Heineke.
I haven't really researched any of it. I know he's turned the ball over a gazillion times. What about the Colts not only saying Matt Ryan is not going to play this weekend?
He's done
Matt,
for the year.
We're going with the other guy.
Correct.
Yeah, that's okay. Wait for a couple of weeks, and then I'll be back. No.
No. You're goodbye. Sayonara.
Oh, my gosh.
Adios.
So
I mean,
why
this-
wouldn't they trade him in 2 weeks?
Because who's gonna? Did you watch him? Did you see him play?
Okay, but I mean,
What are you trading him for?
the guy in Seattle's winning games.
I understand because he's played well. Matt Ryan wasn't playing well. He was playing
What
very
happened to him?
poorly. Yeah, this one was
He's not
surprising.
going to the Hall of Fame, right?
No,
Matt
he's not
Ryan?
going to the Hall of Fame. Not anytime. Like, maybe
And he's not. Is he close? I don't think
not
he is.
as close. This is the problem. Is
like he's not as close
you-
as Phillip Rivers,
you
right?
would
Like Phillip
compa-
Rivers.
If you compared his numbers to quarterbacks of a different era, you would say, hey, Matt Ryan's numbers look like he's a Hall of Famer. But in this era, no, right?
and
Like,
what if he would have won that game?
yeah, there would be an argument for it. I mean, we've accepted that Matt Stafford's a Hall of Famer now, haven't we? Like, we've accepted that was the difference for him. He had put up all
And that
the
actually is a
numbers.
really good comparison. And Stafford's numbers may be more because he's played longer, I think, or no,
Right.
maybe not. Maybe
Ryan
might
yeah,
have-
Ryan's
Ryan's
been around-
played
yeah,
2 more
Ryan-
years.
Ryan was the same year as Flacco.
Right.
Yes.
And maybe Joe isn't even. I know Ryan probably had more gaudy numbers because he did throw more.
Far more gaudy.
But-
yeah.
Joe is another kind of argument. Like Joe's not going to the Hall of Fame, but Ryan. It would really be interesting if they'd have won that game, what it would have done for his cachet, right? Like as a Hall of Fame, hey, guy won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it would have been.
All right.
It would have been interesting. It definitely would have made it, given his numbers, given the fact that he was MVP. The fact that he had MVP.
I kind of forgot about that.
He had significant numbers and a Super Bowl title. I think it would have been hard to argue against Matt Ryan as a Hall of Famer at that point. But
now he's in the Hall of Shame. He got replaced by this dude in
Sam
Indiana.
Ellinger, who I think a lot of people didn't know was in the NFL.
Last time I heard from him, he was doing the voiceover for The Big Lebowski.
Nah, he was really good at that. He was really, really good.
Sassafras tea.
100%. Love me some Sam Elliott.
Dude,
right.
how about Leslie Jordan?
Dude, that sucks so much. I haven't.
I think
really
you and I
spent
might
any
be the
time-
only two people that like him, but
No,
we're
you're out
not?
of your mind. Leslie Jordan became like an icon. Now you love him because of Will and Grace. Because
Correct.
you loved Will and Grace.
Right.
You were all
Correct.
over Will and
I
Grace.
loved it.
I liked Will and Grace, but not nearly
And
as much
one
as
of the
you
reasons
did.
I liked him in Will and Grace is he was the only one of that. Well, Jack was too, but he was the only one who was good fodder for Karen.
Oh, he was
because she
right.
dominated.
It was
her
incredible.
personality was so dominant, and he was the one.
Someone this week shared a video just of the Karen Beverly
saw it.
interaction.
I saw it. Hilarious.
It's one of the best
He
videos
said,
I've ever seen in my
He
life.
said, "Oh, look, it's Karen Walker." I thought I smelled gin and regret.
So good. So good. And then the last line is like, that troll Beverly Leslie is going to be there. Well, don't go. He's my dearest friend.
Yeah, right.
So good.
She was the best, man.
Oh, she was
I
incredible.
mean, she was the best.
The great Megan Mullally,
She
of course.
She was the best.
Mrs. Nick Offerman.
Who?
Ron Swanson of Parks and Recreation.
Oh, I didn't
fame
know that.
Is married to Megan Mullally.
Okay.
I freaking dude, Leslie Jordan, and I'll never
He
be
was
able to
awesome.
explain this.
He
Right?
was awesome.
Here's where you're.
So he had some sort of medical thing happen, right? Because the crash
as
itself,
crash
itself didn't look like it was enough.
Right,
I'm not
right.
going to compare it to like what happened with Dale Earnhardt, but like that crash, those crashes, they don't look like you do anything, and all of a sudden somebody's dead.
Leslie Jordan a couple years ago. He's a conundrum wrapped in a riddle, right? Like he is this very southern older gay man. He put out.
I didn't know he was gay.
Yeah, how could you have told?
Really?
He put out a record of gospel songs 2 years ago, and it's the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I like when he was.
It's incredible.
Remember when Karen introduced him and he goes, "You forgot to tell him." She's like, "Tell him what?" He goes, "That I'm a homosexual." She's like, "What'd you say?" And he goes, "You forgot to tell him I'm a homosexual." And she's like, "I didn't hear you. What did you say?" And the whole time he's yelling it in the microphone.
He put, dude, if you've not
It
heard
was so good.
him, Chris Stapleton, and Chris Stapleton's wife doing Farther Along, which is just this old like
Right.
gospel spiritual, like it's the greatest thing I've ever heard ever.
And when everybody was buttoned up and couldn't go outside during the pandemic, and he sat at home and just did these videos of himself, and he's like,
just listen to Leslie Jordan say, "What y'all doing?
Right.
Screwing?"
"Yep, yep. Yeah, how y'all doing? Hunkered downs? How you guys doing? How you guys doing today?"
What a
that was a
gem,
shame.
man!
That was
what
terrible.
a freaking gem
Terrible.
Leslie Jordan was.
Very underrated.
Oh my God!
Very underrated.
I love. I like legitimately, and I got lost a little bit because I really did find this unique kinship with Leslie Jordan,
Right.
which makes no sense, right? Like, what do we really have in common, the two of us? Other than, and not to go too deep with this, I was brought up in a very religious home, and I know you're a very religious person, Drew, but I have struggled with the acceptance thing and the way that organized religion has treated gay people.
Right.
And to see Leslie Jordan embrace that part of himself really kind of was quite unique to me. It was really something that touched me in a great way. And watching these videos people have shared, like I wasn't paying as much attention during the pandemic to his Instagram and TikTok videos. So like going back and rewatching all of them the last couple of days, dude, I like legitimately shed a tear.
It's been funny.
We
did it too. My wife and I sat and watched them the other night.
I was like, man,
it's pretty fun.
We were so lucky to have this.
It was
dude.
pretty fun.
We were so freaking lucky to have this man.
So I went to the game Sunday.
Why?
I went to the game.
Why did you go?
My best friend from high school was in town.
Oh yeah,
so
you
we
told us.
So
that.
I went to the game. We had great seats, and then we went and sat right down next to the field for the last quarter and a half. And it was, we had a good time. We did a little tailgating beforehand. It was just a good time. I don't go anymore, not because I'm against it. It's just such a.
No, I'm out.
Whatever the word is, right? It takes, like, the guys that I went with, the guys that tailgated, I said to them, "What time did you guys get here?" And he goes, "We get here, we pull in at 8 o'clock because the gates open at 8:30, and we can get into this lot, and we want this spot." I'm like, "Okay, so what time did you leave Hanover?" "We left at 7. What time did you get to the? So I'm doing this math. I'm
Yeah,
like, okay,
right.
so you left Hanover
Right.
at 7. What time did you pull into the lot at where you meet? He goes, we all meet there at 6:45. I'm like, okay. What time did you get up? He said, I got up at like 5:45. I said, okay. So you got up at 5:45.
I'm good.
Let the dog out.
I'm good.
Made yourself a cup of coffee. Drove to where the location is for you to meet all your friends. They have this big souped up van, big spinster something or other.
All right.
So you leave there at 7. You get to Baltimore at 8. You sit in the van until 8:30. They let you in. You pull in. You start then working to get everything ready, ready to go. 9 o'clock or so, whatever it is, you start making your stir fry or whatever you're doing.
Right.
And you do that until noon, and you break the thing down. Like, it's an entire... And then what do you do when it's over?
100%.
He's like, we sit there and we watch football until about 5:30, till the traffic, 6 o'clock.
Dies
till
down a
traffic,
bit, yeah.
And then we leave. I'm like, and what time do you get home? He goes, we're getting home at 7. So
Yes, you're
it's a
giving 12 hours of your day.
12-hour
100%.
day. Now, it wouldn't be that for me, but I still got to get in my car at 9:30 or 10, drive downtown, pay to park, which was alarming in its own story. Go to the game, and then you either have to leave with 3 minutes left or just go somewhere and eat near the stadium.
Okay.
There is no possible way you can leave at the end of the game and not drive yourself insane because of the traffic.
It's hell.
Now, when we used to go and sit in the press box,
Right.
when we left, the traffic was
Because
done.
It was an hour after the game. Right.
An hour or
Right.
2 hours
Yeah, right.
sometimes.
Right.
So I enjoyed it, and it made me remember, like, this is really cool that our city, of everything that I did there Sunday. Now, my friend lives in New Jersey. He's a Giants season ticket holder. So he goes all the time to Giants games. But I said, like, this reminds me of why this is so important in our city. Like, I really got... It reminded me of, like, we went 12 years without this.
Yeah, you're talking about something that's really interesting, Drew, because I lose my... We did postgame on Sunday, and it took, I think, 8 calls to get to the person who said it's time for them to hire Sean Payton. And
after they just won.
And that's... I had this moment of, like, a pure breakdown. They're 4-3. They just won today, and you're calling here saying it's time for them to hire Sean Payton. And I lost it a little bit. I've been told I need to do less of that now that we're over on 105.7 The Fan, so I tried to keep it together.
Oh, you were told not to yell and scream so much?
Try to settle a bit. Yeah, you feel that call. You feel the yeah.
Oh.
Right? Yeah, you get that call next Sunday. What are you gonna,
No.
yeah.
I'm
What?
You're the one that got that call?
What do you mean?
Have they been listening to the other shows
No,
on that?
I don't know. I don't even want to. It's not.
Don't. You got yelled at for being too loud?
Don't.
Oh, my Lord.
I don't need this. I don't
Okay.
need this right now.
Okay.
So it took 8 calls, and then I come in here on Monday, and I
Hi,
have
Sean Payton. The Ravens just won 23-20. Go ahead, Bill. What's up? I think they ought to fire John.
Yeah, it's time for them to hire Sean Payton. No, they're
Right.
4-3. They're in first place in the division. Yeah, but he's got to go, man. But this is what people do around
Rick
here,
in
right?
Parkville.
It's all any
Rick-
sure.
Rick in Parkville.
Sure.
Think we ought to do something different.
100% right.
Do something different.
Like we win.
They
win.
just finished
They turned
13 and 3.
You became a rap song, of course, in Boston. You were quite popular. People don't remember.
Oh, my God.
That was a call after the
They beat the Texans.
right in the playoffs.
Beat the Texans.
And they were getting ready for the
We're
AFC
going up to go up to play in
championship
New
game.
England.
Yep.
And a Billy Cundiff game.
Yep.
And Rick in Parkville called in and said, "Man, I hope we don't do that next Sunday up in New England."
Drew said, "What? Win?" That's what you don't want us to do.
I just would really like us to do something different, he said. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, different than what? Than what we just did.
Right. You mean win?
Right.
Right.
You want
Right.
You want us to do it different.
So I got
anyway.
So I'm talking about this. I'm bored by the Greg Roman thing, right? I'm not even I've never been a big Greg Roman fan. I think it's weird.
Greg Roman is exactly what he is.
Right.
He is a run first,
Right.
run successful,
Yes.
historically run successful offensive coordinator.
Correct.
Who has never, by the numbers, engineered a series, meaning more than a fluky 1 year, has never engineered a series of successful passing attacks. That does not make him a bad offensive coordinator.
In fact, the numbers
It
say
just says it is a little bit akin to, like, I see this all the time with golfers. Kid kills it, hits it 300 yards. Then I say, what'd you shoot? 83. How'd you shoot 83?
But that I
you
think
hit it right down the middle of the
I think it's
fairway.
an unfair comparison. He's been the offensive coordinator for 3 years in which they've had even a modicum of health in Baltimore. Whether he can engineer a passing offense or not, he's had a top 7 scoring offense in the NFL.
But if you look at his history
all
in
3 of
Buffalo
those
and San
years.
Francisco, other than the one year when Kaepernick had a decent year, but if you look at his history in Buffalo and San
I get it.
Francisco,
That's-
they all do the same
And
thing.
by the way, I said-
and how are you that surprised? Nothing the Ravens do right now, as it relates to Greg Roman's application of his offensive philosophy, if that surprises you, you're stupid.
Okay,
Because it's all he's ever done.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but yet they have the number 6 scoring offense in the NFL currently. And yet, this is what we do. All we do is fire the offense coordinator. Well, it's not going to work. We got to fire him, as if that's something that successful teams do in the middle of a season.
Right.
We're so,
Because on Monday,
Right.
when Glenn Clark comes in
Right.
and says, hey, boys, I'm the new offensive coordinator.
Right.
Here's what we're going to do this week. We got 26 new plays to learn.
Yep. Because that's a good thing for a team to work with. That's the way that you go. By the way, we're so messed up by what happened in 2012 that now it fortifies this belief that you can just change offensive coordinators on the fly and go win Super Bowls, right? Because that's the one example of it
what they
working.
did.
There's one example of it working.
Right.
There's 6 billion
And by the way, they didn't
examples.
change any of the plays.
Right, they just had somebody else, correct. There's 6 billion examples of the other thing, which is when you make a decision like this in the middle of the season, it's because you're desperate and everything's just going to fall apart anyway, right? That's not what successful teams typically do not change coordinators in the middle
And by
of the
the
season.
way,
But that's neither here nor there. But the point they say is like this, what it really proves to me is the obsession that we have with football in this town, right? Like, I get angry about it. It bothers me. I find it boring. I find it pathetic, the conversation. But I get it. We are so consumed by this thing in this city. The power that they hold over us is so overwhelming that it impacts our brains, the way that we function on a day-to-day basis.
And it's funny you say that, because then that is, when I was out there on Sunday, like, it really, really dawned on me how much this franchise means to how much it impacts us and means to us for these 4 months. Like, it's an amazing experience to be out there and to see it all unfold and to see and I'll tell you what I was really impressed with. And I get it. Like, you get these nerds that go to these that learn how to work computers and they can do anything with them, right? Digital this, digital that. Like, when
you call them nerds, they're called wealthy.
Yeah, right. But when you go to the game now, the game experience is like going to see Jimi Hendrix in 1968.
That's fair.
Like,
Right.
it's
It's everywhere, right?
It's
Yeah.
incredible, right? The experience in the stadium with the footage and the videos and the tweets that are up on there and get your picture up, and now we're going to dance, and the guy that needs to lose 80 pounds is going to take his shirt off and jump around and do the...
Dan, I love Dan. That's my guy.
Dan's fine.
I love that guy.
But I'm
He's
saying,
great.
like, the whole thing is so incredibly...
Sure.
It's so incredibly magnetic. Like, you immerse yourself. I've never been a video game like a Dungeons and Dragons.
Sure.
And I've never been into that. But I know people that are into it, and it becomes their alternate personality. It becomes their alternate and so
Right.
when you go to these games, you're in this stadium and you're there in the moment, and all this stuff is going on around you. It's almost like the real world doesn't exist. Like, I'm in this.
Interesting.
I'm in this thing.
Interesting.
I'm one of the 70,000 people in this thing right now. And the production of the games is absolutely extraordinary. Like I said to myself the other day, what would really be interesting is there any way at all that people would come and watch this without any of the other stuff going on? Without any of the flashing lights and the replays and the put your picture up on the board and kiss cam and dance and give a free pizza to this section if we score a touch. Is there any way it would be as interesting if none of that stuff existed?
It's an interesting question that I don't like. That
Like, what did we do? You weren't around, but I went to the games in 1974. I was there when
Right.
Tony Linhart kicked the ball at the
Right.
Fog. What did we do then?
But isn't
What
that,
did we do
isn't
then?
that baseball? I know baseball's starting to catch up a little bit. Like we
It's
saw
all
the
the sports. It's
Batista.
every sport, but like I'm just talking about football.
But
Right?
I feel like
What
baseball
did
is
we do
less,
in 1974?
Isn't baseball's less bells and whistles during the game than football is. Like baseball doesn't have the same.
I mean, I would agree with that.
Basketball's closer to.
See, I
to
grew up in this,
football.
right? Because we did it in indoor soccer, and everybody thought we were horses' asses.
Right.
And we did this.
Yeah, this
We-
is low rent.
You
right,
can
yeah.
say whatever you want about soccer and indoor soccer, and you can yell at it and call it all these names you want. Dude, we were so far ahead of all the rest of these cats when it came to that. It isn't even funny. We were doing all of this stuff in 1980 that they're all doing now. We did it all, right? And some people would say, well, that's the only reason why you got people to come to the games. Well, I don't know, maybe. I mean, maybe.
It's an interesting.
So I'm
right.
asking now, well, what if the NFL didn't do it? Like, I can remember specifically.
I think now that
and I
we're-
like Ken.
right.
I've always liked Ken Rosenthal.
Right.
But I can remember specifically
Mm-hmm.
Ken Rosenthal coming to a game. I remember who we were playing. It's like I'm sitting here. We were playing the Denver Avalanche. He came to the game.
This is when he was working for the Sun.
He was working for the Sun. He
Mm-hmm.
came to the game, and it was honestly like the president was coming for us. Ken Rosenthal is coming to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Get his spot set up. What's he like to drink? Diet Coke. Make sure he's got everything's got to be perfect. Ken Rosenthal's coming.
The Queen is coming.
It-
right.
it-
yeah,
it
I
was
get
incredible.
I get it.
And the next day, he shredded us. He shredded us. There was a soccer game last night in Baltimore, and there was a theatrical something
Yeah, it
in
was
Baltimore
like
last night,
being
and a
medieval
soccer game
times.
and a soccer game broke out.
Yeah. It was like going to watch.
Oh yeah, the Blast won 9-4. Now to the rest of the story, and he shredded us. And so so now I say, well, what if the NFL didn't do that? Right now, if there was one team, let's pretend you and I started a team in Birmingham, Alabama, and we said, well, A, Bruce Cunningham's got to be the GM, and then B, we're not going to do any of that stuff.
Okay.
We're not going to do any of it. We're going to be the one team that doesn't do any of it. Would people come?
Yes, they would, because what else are they going to do? You know what I mean? Like, they would come for sure. But I to your point.
But how much of it is that?
But you're not going backwards, is the point.
Because the game, listen, this is what,
Yeah.
this happened the other day, and it was hilarious that this happened.
Okay.
Ready?
By the way, how long can you stick around? Because Billick's going to join us in a couple of minutes.
I'll be here.
Okay,
I'll,
all right.
I'll beat him up a
All
little bit.
About what? What are you going to beat him up about?
I'm getting canned.
14 years ago?
Getting canned.
15 years ago?
Yeah, getting canned. So here's what happened the other day.
Yeah.
Browns are driving down. Browns are driving late in the first half. Don't. It was to my right. I don't remember how the drive ended. They punted the ball down to the Ravens, and the dude downed it by accident. The ball went through his hands, and it fell on like the 4-yard line
Yeah.
with 35 seconds left in the quarter.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I vaguely
Okay.
remember this, yes.
So on your TV screen, the Ravens would have been going to your
This
left.
is when they decided, this is the end of the half,
Yeah,
right? They
end of the
decided
half.
to take a knee.
Right. So here's what they did. Ready? Ravens get the ball with 35 seconds left. They take a TV timeout. It's 3 minutes long. 3 minutes. They come back, and what did the Ravens do?
They took a knee.
They took a knee.
Right.
And half ended.
Correct.
So you went.
You stayed through the
you-
commercial, right? And you
but
got nothing
you,
out of it.
The halftime or the interruption was really more like 20 minutes long because nothing happened from the time they caught the ball till the end of the half. And it just, as I'm sitting there, I'm like, the product in the actual game product is 60 minutes long. And that's it. You're in the stadium for 3 hours and 20 minutes. But the actual football playing is an hour. Right?
That's fair.
And the
That's-
rest of it
right,
is
it's just all the right. I understand.
it's incredible.
It's not. Honestly,
It's incredible.
It's not. It's not for me, right? Like it's
and
not.
It's kind of not for me there.
But it was. I tell you, when
I had a good time on
when I
Sunday.
took the boys to the preseason game, right, which was hell for me. It was. I don't watch preseason football. I don't watch it on television. I refuse to.
Just where your
but
kid lifted up the skirt of the cheerleader. Or
Well, I mean that was
probably not.
That was another.
Oh, no,
I said it was.
that was you.
Yeah. Stop
Never
it.
mind.
Stop it.
Never mind.
Stop it. We went and they, all of that stuff. Oh my God, sensory overload. The time of their
Their
life.
head's gonna blow off.
right?
Right.
You know what's weird about that? I took him to a wrestling show in December at the arena, and they didn't care at all about the bells and whistles. They didn't care at all about the pyro. The pyro was annoying to them, right? Like all they wanted to watch was the dudes doing the wrestling. It's all they wanted to watch.
Right.
The football game, they weren't watching the game at all. It was all of the other things. It was the big screens.
And that's why I asked,
it was all of that
if we
stuff.
did away with all of that, what would the experience be like? Because that's what it was like in 1974. That's what it was like. Like when we didn't, when football
didn't know anything else.
I know.
Right. Like that's the thing. Like now we've seen it. I don't think they're gonna. You don't put the toothpaste back in the tube at this point. Like this is. I have thought for a long time about what it would take for me to be interested in going. I'm going to a football game. I was going to go to New Orleans, but my wife screwed up and forgot she needed to take Tuesday off of work. So instead, we have to go out to the Maryland-Wisconsin game because I took the weekend off.
That'll be a thriller.
Well, everybody tells me Wisconsin's a great place to go for a game. Everybody tells me that like the atmosphere at Wisconsin is something that you should experience at some point, and I've never been. So
I don't think they're losing. I don't think they're losing.
Who, Wisconsin or Maryland? I don't know if you're doing a bit now or what. I have no idea. Wisconsin wasn't good.
What you say? They're not losing.
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
I'm just telling you.
Just go through the whole. Go ahead. Go
They're
through
not.
The whole thing.
Terps 27, Wisconsin 40.
I go to Towson game. Thank you. I go to Towson games because I like the smaller crowds. I like taking the kids. They, for them, it's massive, right? For them, they're at a huge sporting event, right? They're at a world-class event. Are you okay? What's going on? Are you all right?
No, it's better now.
Okay.
You didn't have my volume adjusted. I want to be able to talk to the coach.
You're 100 years old.
I want to talk to the coach.
I keep forgetting that now. You're
not
very
100.
But I'm just out. Football, going to the games is not for
I know,
me any longer.
It's incredible.
It's not for me. It's for a lot of people.
It's an incredible show when you're there.
Oh, I have no doubt that's true.
It's unreal how good it is.
I would probably be more. You know what, though? If it was a game that was going on where there weren't other games going on, that is part of the issue for me, is not having touch with, like on a Sunday at 1 o'clock, there's 100 games going on.
Sure.
I want to be in
Sure.
All right. This man was at the game on Sunday as well. He was back with the Ravens, filling in on the radio broadcast alongside Jerry Sandusky. It is always a pleasure for us to welcome back an old friend of ours, someone who is a regular visitor with us. Back when Drew and I were doing radio together somewhere else, he is our buddy, Coach Brian Billick, the former Super Bowl winning coach of the Ravens, and he's with us here on GCR.
He's not a former Super Bowl winning coach. He's a Super Bowl winning coach.
All right, never mind. Coach, I'm sorry. It's Glenn and Drew. It's great to chat with you again. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Sure thing. How you guys doing?
Everything is good. What's it like now for you being back at this point? Do you find yourself like itching and saying, I wouldn't mind doing more of this?
Oh, it's great fun. The energy in the stadium, and I walked over to the game from the hotel in the morning like I used to when I was the head coach, and the fans were there. It was great. It was great fun. Great to be a part of. Heck of a football game. Lots of fun to watch.
It's awesome. Coach, this team this season has been so kind of, I don't know, Jekyll and Hyde would be the wrong thing to say because they've played well. They're the only team in the NFL that's had a double-digit lead in every game this season, and yet they're sitting here at 4-3. As you watched everything about it, what do you make of what the Ravens are now 7 games into the season?
Well, I think like most of the league, is kind of hunkered there one side or the other above 500. There's a few outliers. Obviously, Philly's doing really, really well, and there's some teams that aren't doing well. But I think a lot of teams are still figuring it out. And what the Ravens are, it was great to see Gus Edwards back. That added a physicality to the running game that I think they're going to be able to utilize going forward, obviously to augment what they do with Lamar. Defensively, they're still learning what it is to be under Coach McDonald's defense. They're having to manufacture pressures, but they seem to fit up well against the run. Again, Chubb was outstanding. I mean, he's the real deal. Both he and Edwards ran so physical. It was kind of fun to watch. So I think the Ravens are a team that's still progressing and are good enough to be. Clearly, you're going to need to win the division because the wild card division, which will take shape here pretty soon, could be a little crowded in a fairly talented AFC. But they're in a prime position to do it, and they in Cincinnati seem to be the teams to beat in the division.
Coach, I don't know how much you follow every day what's going on here in terms of the ups and downs with John, and maybe you've had this conversation with him. But as someone who, you remember how it went, we'd sit there on Mondays and grill you after losses. It was your fault. When the team won, we'd tell you how great the players were. Do you sense John in any way at all is tiring of that volatility that I know you experienced? Every coach experiences it. That it's just, don't I ever get any credit at all?
Coach, you there? Nope. We'll see. Maybe he didn't like the question.
Finished him off.
Yeah,
right.
So, thanks a lot.
Does he
Drew.
still live on the Eastern Shore, by the way?
I believe so. I don't remember him moving at any point. I don't think he takes the boat over to the game any longer. That was when he was doing the preseason broadcast for those years. He'd just be like, "Yeah, just take the boat over."
That's a nice.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
a nice.
right.
That's a nice way to go.
It's a sentence I've never uttered in my life.
That's a nice way to go. Right.
Dude, I've never been
helicopter.
able to say I take the boat to the game.
The helicopter.
Yeah, right. It's never been an option for Glenn Clark. All right, we'll bring back in Coach Billick.
I didn't mean to chase you off, Coach.
Yeah, I just thought maybe you just didn't want to hear what I had to say.
No, I just do you the volatility that you went through, and every coach goes through the ups and downs of like the media chasing after you after a loss, and then you never get any credit when there's a win, and the fans. And do you sense in any way, if you've talked to John about it, that volatility is getting to him at this point?
Well, no, I haven't talked to him about it. It's standard operating procedure. It's what you do. There is a school of thought in general that, and Bill Walsh was very much a believer of this, and certainly I experienced it, is that when you're fortunate to last long enough in an organization in the NFL, which is very, very rare, there comes a point where that whole process becomes more laborious. Simply because you've been there so long,
right.
And you've been there before, and you've been through the ups and downs, and so there's that sense of, well, we've heard and done and been here before. Well, sure you have. That's exactly the point. And so it can wear on you. John seems pretty resilient with it. Is it irritating? Is it something you'd rather not deal with? Well, sure. Human nature says, I'd really, like I always said, I'd love to spend 10 minutes with the guy that came up with the idea that after a game.
This is your best line. This is your best line. Yep.
That you have to stand in front of a bunch of people that don't know a quarterback from a quarter pounder,
right.
and explain yourself.
Right.
That's a fun process. But it is what it is. And but certainly when you last long enough, Mike Tomlin is facing that now. Bill Belichick is facing that now. These are the most senior coaches in the NFL right now. After a while, the fan base does. Well, gee, we've heard and seen this before. Well, yeah, you have, because that's what the game is, and this is what happens.
He is Brian Billick. He's with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Coach, you're not going to believe this, but there's a fan base in Baltimore that doesn't always love the offensive coordinator in town. I know that's really surprising to you.
Can't imagine.
Yeah, it's new. It's a new thing that we're experiencing around here. Can you tell me what you make of the job that Greg Roman has done? It's always very, like, this is an awkward conversation to me because somebody's like, yeah, but they don't throw the ball. I'm like, well, that's not what he does. Like, this is who he is. What do you make of the entirety of Greg Roman's time in Baltimore, and as they try to win a Super Bowl, whether or not they can do it with his scheme and what he does offensively?
I think Greg Roman's been brilliant in what they've done in wrapping the talents and the structure around a very unique talent in Lamar Jackson. It begs the bigger question: can you win a championship with Lamar Jackson? That's a legitimate question, but clearly he's a unique talent, and there's no reason that you can't. And I think they're doing exactly what they need to do with Lamar. I don't know what different offense you would run, because I think they're wrapping around him, and that's credit to them. You're finally seeing that in Philadelphia. They finally have wrapped around Jalen Hurst an offense that suits his particular skills. And they hadn't done that before, because you have to give yourself over to certain ideas and concepts, and the fact that, yes, our guy is going to run and he is going to be exposed to that, and they have done that. So I don't know what different offense you would run. And I think Greg's done a good job. Now, can they win with that? That remains to be seen. Mm-hmm. I'm very much a believer that in order to win a championship, you have to have a guy that can beat you from the pocket. The other things are great, and Lamar's in a wholly different category. So you have to qualify the statement a little bit. But I'm still, because we have a bunch of guys that can run around this league, and you see it in the college game, and which is interesting because you talk about a different offense. I've obviously immersed in the college game now in terms of what I do for Arizona State, and I've looked at more college film than I ever thought would in a million years. And what strikes me is it's stunning because everybody's doing the same thing. And when I say that, I don't mean, well, everybody's running the exact same plays, the exact same formations. The only difference is with some of the personnel that they have. So when what would you do? I don't know what you would do different with Lamar Jackson. Can you win a championship with a guy that doesn't have that dynamic presence in the pocket, but is so unique in the other things he does, like nobody else in the league? It remains to be seen.
Coach, I can remember, and we'll pull the curtain back here. You and I having a conversation over dinner, it was 15 years ago, back in the old days, and kind of talking about whether or not you would get back into it or not. And I remember you saying, and I don't think you're going to be upset that I say this, I remember you saying, like, the only way I would ever do this is if I got in the right situation with the right owner. And I'm curious, when you look now these days and you see certain teams, and don't have to name them, but you see certain teams who have difficulty retaining coaches. Is that thought of yours from 15 years ago even more prevalent now, that once guys have gotten into the league, made a lot of money and had a nice 5-year, 10-year run, whatever it is, that they are more reluctant to just dive back in unless it's, I don't want to say perfect, but unless it's really a good situation and the owner is sane, for lack of a better word.
And that observation had more to do, although certainly ownership is important, vitally important. It was more, and I don't think my quote was, it had to be with the right owner. It had to be in the right situation, meaning the right GM, the right structure, with the right mission statement, with the same view of what it takes to win. When post leaving the Ravens and the few conversations I did have with people, and then subsequently doing what I did for Fox and the NFL Network and being around organizations and seeing what they're about, even more so had a firm commitment that there are right fits and there are wrong fits. Doesn't mean they're a bad organization.
Right.
Doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. It just but it needs to be a fit. It needs to be a marriage, and that's not always. There's not always a good fit. And the people that have visited with me, it wasn't a good fit, and I saw that, and I wasn't going to allow myself to give into the I'll make it better. Yeah, I'll make this work. You don't go into a marriage saying, well, I don't like this or that, but I'll make it work.
I'll fix it.
I'll change it.
Right.
Yeah, I'll fix it. That's not a good way to go into it. And so, and there's a lot of organizations around that do. So it's that fit that has to mesh up, or why go in knowing that you're not going to be successful because you don't have that unified vision for what it takes to win in the NFL.
Gotcha.
Brian Billick, just another minute or two with him here on GCR. Coach, the other thing that, again, I can't believe we're talking about once more in Baltimore is the wide receiver position. Again, another thing. It's new. Never had that conversation before. Whatever offense the Ravens are running, and even as dedicated as they appear to be, and they certainly appear to be again on Sunday, dedicated to the run, do they have enough there? Do they have enough at wide receiver right now? Should they be exploring significantly what might be available via the trade market before next week's deadline? Like, do they have enough to win, again, to compete against the best teams in the AFC with the wide receivers they currently have?
I'll qualify it with the receiving core they have, and I'm going to include
throwing
the tight
Mark
end,
Andrews,
because I think that's the difference. You need to have a dominant guy. Everybody wants that dominant guy in your receiving core. And a lot of times it is the wide receiver. You're lucky if you've got one that's at wide receiver and in tight end. Well, you've got one in Mark Andrews, and an outstanding tight end core. I really like what I see in Josh Oliver and Isaiah Likely, particularly during the preseason. And, of course, Nick Boyle has his specific role. But with those guys, and then, you have a guy that can take the top off the defense in Bateman. You have some guys that work out of the slot with like Duvernay. So you've got, I repeat myself for those that remember, but I always used to say I want my receiving core to look like a good basketball team.
Yep.
I want 5. I need a point guard. I need a power forward. I need a big man. I don't want 5 point guards. Okay. But if you have a superior big man, or you have that superior 3-point shooter at wide receiver, then all the better. But most teams don't. And so to answer the question, do the Ravens have enough? Sure. Could they use more of a dynamic presence at receiver? Sure. I don't know that he's out there, trade or otherwise, not right now. In the offseason, that's something you can address. But I think there's enough in combination with, yes, they are going to be committed to the run. They're going to run the ball. When teams have to pack that box to stop it, you have someone that can maybe, go vertical and go deep, even though he's only going to catch it a certain amount of times. And I have a tight end core that can augment that passing game, and I can use that presence of Mark Andrews down the field when they present the defense that allow it. So, yeah, in conjunction with what they're doing, absolutely. Yeah. Are they the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills? No, but that's not who they are, and that's not what they do.
Clearly. By the way, they're pretty good, right? Like, that's the part that I think people miss sometimes. They're pretty good. They're 4-3. They've had double-digit leads in every game this season. Coach, I just want to bring up, you brought it up earlier. I know the situation is awkward, but you guys, Arizona State all of a sudden been pretty electric the last couple of weeks. What do you have a sense for what your future holds with Arizona State?
Well, it's not about no. I'm brought in just kind of an advisory capacity. Don't know that it was going to extend even beyond just the 1 year. It's just kind of again, just very much an advisor. They're going through transition, some tough times. The landscape in college football with the NIL and the portal is disturbing to me. I don't like it. I don't think it's good for the game. It needs some major regulating, and I think we will get to that point. And so they're sorting through exactly how and where they want to be in this process as we move slowly towards what's going to, in my opinion, end up being 2 super leagues. They're going to copy the NFL model. There's going to be about 30 plus teams, and however they divide it up into this super league that competes very much on the NFL model, and there will be everybody else. And the challenge for all schools right now is, do you want to be a part of that? Are you going to get into that? Which it entails a lot in terms of the money you're going to put into the players and how that's going to be doled out. And so there's a lot of shifting around going on the landscape. And certainly Arizona State's it'll be a team that it's a great school, it's great people. I've enjoyed the players. I'm a Pac-12 guy, grew up on the West Coast. It's an exciting brand of football, even though, like I said, everybody's doing the exact same thing. But there's a lot of transitions going to be going on in the college game over the next couple of years.
At Coach Billick on Twitter is how you follow him. It was great to see you back here this weekend, Coach. Always appreciate taking the time for us. Let's do it again soon, all right?
Sounds great.
Coach Brian
See you,
Billick
Coach.
checking in with us here on GCR.
I'll never forget once someone asked him, it might have been Cower. I think it was Cower. Somebody said something about the perfunctory. Someone asked him about the handshake after the game.
Yeah.
And he said it wasn't intended to be perfunctory. It wasn't intended. And so if it turned out to be that way, it wasn't supposed to be that way. And Marty Bass raised his hand. Brian's like, Kevin said, like, Marty, go ahead. And Marty goes, yeah, Coach, what's perfunctory mean?
Not bad. Hey, if you haven't been to Guilford Hall Brewery yet, it is a gem, 1611 Guilford Avenue in Station North. Awesome place, and they have a huge Halloween party coming up on Saturday night, costume contest, live music, and more. GuilfordHall.com to find out, and it's free for you to get in. I mean, it's just an awesome opportunity for you to check out a great venue. We'll play Would You Rather Wednesday when we come back in. Drew Forrester's here. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Experience the best in Kamado Grilling, a complete outdoor cooking appliance. The Ginsu Kamado Grill allows anyone to sear, grill, bake, and smoke all types of food. Designed for efficiency and function, the Ginsu Kamado Grill upholds the enduring legacy of the iconic Ginsu brand. The Ginsu Kamado Grill is perfect to cook all year round, is great for parties, and ideal for tailgating with your friends. Reserve your Ginsu Kamado Grill today at ginsugrills.com and get $100 off on your pre-order when you use the promo code big tailgate. That's ginsugrills.com. Reserve yours today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, New Maryland basketball coach Kevin Willard sits down with Stan Charles and Glenn Clark to discuss the situation he inherited in College Park and how he plans to get the program turned around. Also, inside, we introduce you to men's and women's college basketball players from all of the teams in the area. And Bo Smoka profiles Ravens receiver Devin Duvernay. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
What's up, everyone? This is Tyus Bowser, and I'm excited to tell you that I'm back for Season 2 of the Tyus Bowser Show in partnership with PressBox and Great H Memorabilia. Join us on Tuesday nights throughout the season as I'll be heading all over town with my special guests. And, of course, our co-hosts, Glenn and Rita. Or is it Rita and Glenn? What is it? I look forward to meeting you guys and talking a little bit about football and a lot about life. And if you happen to miss the show, you can now catch a replay Friday nights on 105.7 The Fan. Get all of your details for the Tyus Bowser Show right now at PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser.
The next Tyus Bowser Show is Tuesday, November 1st at the Hamilton Sports Bar and Grill, 5506 Hartford Road. It's brought to you by Maryland Vascular Specialists and the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
If you can't listen or watch live, you can subscribe to the show via Spotify, Amazon, or Apple Podcasts. Leave a 5-star review while you're there. Or, if lying isn't your thing, we'll take a 3.5-star review too.
Today's show also brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, the best place to watch and bet on every game. And starting today, cash outs available on parlay bets. You make your parlay bet. Yeah, that's available now on the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. You make a parlay bet. First 2 or 3 legs come through. You say, I wonder what I could get for this. You wander over to the machine, the self-service kiosk.
So if you got a 6-way play,
Yeah.
and 3 hit,
Yeah, you can find out how much you would be offered to cash out right then and make a decision as to whether or not you want to do that. That's available today in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland.
Where is that located?
I'd be in Hanover. It would be right by Arundel Mills Mall. You need to go? You need to duck out? Former Raven AQ Shipley is going to join us in a few minutes. I got to play Would You Rather Wednesday. What's your schedule? I don't even know.
I got to go.
All right, we'll play Would You Rather Wednesday.
Yeah, I will.
It's brought to you by Glory Days Grill, of
I'm
course.
getting paid for an hour anyway. I'm not staying much longer than that.
Glory Days Grill's Oktoberfest menu still available. And if you didn't hear, $6.99 apps after 9 o'clock every night. Every night, $6.99 apps. That includes their wings, the smoky thigh wings, all of it. $6.99 apps after 9 o'clock every night at Glory Days Grill. All right, number 1, would you rather? There are no personnel changes coming. So would you rather the Ravens remain as fully committed to the run as they appeared to be on Sunday, or they open things up a little bit more like they did a little bit earlier on in the year?
Oh, I'll take the run.
Just go for it. That's who you are.
Keep running. Keep running.
Run.
Let's keep running.
Number 2, are you familiar? Did you watch any of the Firefest documentaries a couple years ago?
I don't think I did.
Are you familiar with the concept of the Fire Festival?
Do
you know who Billy McFarland is? You know any of this?
I don't.
You really? What are
Pass.
you going to talk about on the radio for 2.5 hours?
Golf.
You got some Bear Bryant stories.
Golf and Bear Bryant.
What about any old Baltimore Stallions stories?
I got.
Do you have any?
You know
of
what I
those?
got? I got 2.5 hours of Kenny Cooper stories.
You know what? That will get you through. You don't remember the festival that was supposed to happen that everybody traveled to this exotic island for? Like Blink-182 was supposed to be there. and it was a sham. Like they got there and there was no festival. There's a huge story.
No, I did not hear that.
All right, then never mind.
Okay.
We'll skip past number 2.
But I did try to go see David Sanborn and Michael Brecker one night in D.C.,
How'd that go?
and neither one of those guys showed up. And it was at the old Kilimanjaro, and
They
everybody was
They
there.
didn't bother to tell you ahead of time.
No. It was the same thing. We're going to have David Sanborn and Michael Brecker, and everyone.
Yes, but
like,
you weren't stuck on an island in the
No,
middle.
but I
of
was
the-
at the Kilimanjaro in D.C.
Well,
at
I understand,
9:30
but
on
you
a
can
Friday
turn around-
night,
you
waiting to
can
go
turn
see
around and
David
drive back.
Sanborn and Michael Brecker, and neither one of them showed up.
There were no planes for people to get back.
Well, okay. Oh, okay.
There were no people were literally.
So
there
this
was,
is like the Jim Jones
there
thing
was
in
one tiny
Jonestown.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
There was one tiny airport on the island.
You're here for another reason.
It had one runway, and no planes, and they literally locked these people in the airport.
Oh my
It was a
gosh.
nightmare.
Okay.
It was a nightmare. But
Well, the answer is no.
right. Well, so
Whatever
the guy that was responsible for that went to jail for a few years.
I guess.
But he's out now. He
Okay.
got out this week,
Okay.
and he's teasing doing it again.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. He is teasing.
No, he isn't.
He learned his lessons, and he's going to do it. So the question I had, and again, you have to. The question is, would you rather work for $70,000 as Billy McFarland's assistant on his new Fire Festival project, or you can get a $75,000 a year job cleaning the bathrooms at the various Taco Bell locations? Now, what you don't know is there was a legendary scene in the first Fire Festival when they were still trying to pull off the festival where the man who was working as Billy McFarland's assistant was a gay man, and they needed to get water for the festival, and they hadn't paid for the water for the festival, and Billy McFarland suggested to the gay gentleman that was working for him that he go offer his services in exchange for getting the water
Not
for
for
the
70.
festival.
Not for 70,000.
I just saying.
I mean,
I don't know if that's going to happen
Yeah,
to you
not-
when
not
you
for-
work as, but you don't know.
not for
It
70.
happened in the past.
Not for 70 grand.
You're gonna go clean the Taco Bell.
Yeah,
back
yeah,
after.
yeah.
Number 3. Would you rather bet $1,000?
Yeah. Yes.
Settle down. $1,000 on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers figuring it out and hitting their win total over, which is currently set at 9.5, or bet $1,250 on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers figuring it out and hitting their win total over of 8.5. So just one total is 9.5 for the Buccaneers. The other is 8.5 for the Packers. But you got to bet more on the Packers than you would on the Buccaneers.
I loosely know Tampa's schedule because I wrote about it this morning in Drew's Morning Dish. And it didn't look all that
They're
imposing.
in the worst division.
It didn't look all that imposing.
That's the problem with betting their playoff odds is they're 3-4 and they're in first place.
Right. Packers have off this week. Oh, no, sorry. No, they play the Bills this week. That's a loss.
Yeah.
Lions away, coin flip. Cowboys in Green Bay, coin flip.
Boy, if the
Titan-
Lions away is a coin flip, then you know they're not getting to the number.
Titans,
Stop.
Titans,
The Lions are the worst team in football.
Titans and Green
if that's
Bay.
a coin flip, you're not getting anywhere close to the number.
It's a coin flip for sure. Titans and Green Bay, coin flip. Packers at Eagles, definitely coin flip. Packers at Bears, coin flip. Never mind. I don't know what
You're
to
betting
say.
the Buccaneers is what
I'm
you're
thinking
saying.
I'm betting the
You're
Buccaneers.
betting the Buccaneers is what you're doing.
Packers QB Aaron Rodgers says, quote, guys who are making too many mistakes shouldn't be playing.
Well, okay, he might have a point.
I think it's a great
Might
idea.
have a point. And then I have a bonus one for this week, but you're not going to be able to participate because it's too personal for you. But my bonus, would you rather, this week, after CBS announced that this will be Jim Nance's final four,
And Ian Eagles.
Ian Eagle will take over.
And he'll do great.
Would you rather, moving forward, the voice of the primary CBS game each week and the Super Bowl be Nance, Eagle, or Kevin Harlan?
Oh.
I mean, come on.
I'm
You're
going
not-
to
yeah,
take
what
the
do you- what are we doing?
I'll
here?
take the fifth.
Yeah, right? Like, what are we doing?
I refuse to speak on that subject.
Oh, that's
I re-
interesting.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
because we
you're
all know what
you're
the answer
obviously
is.
gonna say Jim
Yeah,
Nance,
those
of
two guys
course.
can't tie his shoes.
Stop.
And this Andrew Catalan is going to be the next. He'll be the next golf guy.
But Nance has said before, like, somebody told me the math. He's done 36 Masters. Is that where he's at? He said he's going to do 50. Like, that's
I didn't
his.
hear that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But he said that. He's told us that a few times.
Okay,
Like,
didn't know that.
That's been something he said forever. Is that he
Okay.
wants to do the Masters 50 times.
But I think Catalan will wind up being in the booth there. Jim will eventually do the big ones, and when they go to RBC, when they go to Hilton Head,
Right.
Catalan will be in the booth.
Will they move him to like a Vern Lundquist role at some point where he's still there, he still does the Masters, but he's doing the 17th hole?
No.
Okay.
Jim would never do that. But what he would do is
Why would he do it to get the 50 Masters?
no. But what he would do is he wouldn't work some of the second-tier events.
Well, I mean, for sure, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. I like Andrew Catalan.
I do
by the
too.
way. I think he's good.
I do too. I do too. I was not really sold on Immelman, honestly, but the more I hear him, the more I think he might be okay.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to bow out of that conversation.
Okay.
Not my place to discuss it. All right, you guys get me your answers at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio, and somebody's winning a $25 gift card to Glory Days Grill. What's coming up at Drew'sMorningDish.com?
I don't know.
Okay, dynamite.
I don't know.
Look, man, I'm not here to tell you how to do things, but I would make a plan. I would figure it out. If I were you, I would have a strategy.
But we publish tomorrow morning.
Right. I'm not asking you. In general, do you have any big...
We're doing No, I tell you what we are doing that's really awesome.
So we got to talk about...
we are doing really, really... I will say this. Now, I know what the joke response will be. Well, nobody else cares. We're doing the best World Cup coverage in the market as it relates to previewing all the teams, all the players. Randy Morgan's our soccer guy. He's phenomenal. He knows more about Tunisia than Tunisia knows about Tunisia.
I believe that. Yeah, I didn't know they were in the World Cup, for what it's worth.
So they are. So we're doing a lot of World Cup stuff to get ready. It's weird, right? Because it's coming up here in 26 days, and you don't even know it.
Well, it's football season. I mean, like
this is football.
They
call it football.
I understand.
All right.
Drew'sMorningDish.com at It's a Hooded 4-Iron on Twitter is how you follow him. And next Sunday, not this coming Sunday, next Sunday, 5 to 7:30. He'll be on 105.7 The Fan doing God knows what. No clue.
It's going to be entertaining. You'll see.
We'll see.
You'll see.
All right, pal. Appreciate it.
Better than you.
That's not really much of a bar for what it's worth. Good to see Drew Forrester, Drew'sMorningDish.com. It's been a while since we've had an opportunity to catch up with our next guest. He was one of my favorites during his time here in Baltimore. Now he's become a media star. You see him with Pat McAfee and as part of his network. He is former Ravens offensive lineman AQ Shipley, and he's back with us here on GCR. AQ, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to catch up with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Always a pleasure, guys. How you doing?
Everything is good, dude. Like, are you like? Is this the thing you were always meant for? Like, are you truly loving doing this now, or is this more like, it's beneath me, but what the hell? They pay me, I'll do it anyway.
No, I love it. I really do love it. I mean, one of my favorite things is just kind of being like a film junkie, right? Like I love watching film. I did when I played. I did when I coached, and this has been really cool for me to just kind of talk through some things in a fun, lighted, unfiltered environment, just as if I'm talking to a new rookie that just came in and I'm teaching them the playbook. It's pretty cool.
It's cool, man. I know you're also a huge hockey guy, and you've been doing that for a long time. Before we get into the Ravens, tell me what the chances are that Alex Ovechkin will end up breaking the goals record. Is he going to be able to hang around long enough and play at a high enough level in order to get it?
I think it's a good chance. I mean, the problem with them is, they've let some people out of the building. They've gotten old in some areas, and it's tough because they're not the team they were 5 years ago when they won, or whatever it was 4 years ago when they won the Cup. And so, when you have pieces around you, it makes that a lot easier. But he is still so talented. I mean, when you just set him up over there on the point and let him get his one-timers, I mean, goals will be flowing.
I mean, I've said this a couple times. Like that man is that franchise. With all due respect, I know they made one run to the finals years before that, but they were irrelevant until that dude showed up. If it means that you've got to kind of bow to him and stink a little bit to allow him that opportunity, like I'm doing that because you have nothing you are irrelevant as a franchise outside of that dude.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, that guy, he's going to go down as one of the top 10 players probably ever to play the game, right? He's obviously a top 2 goal scorer and quite possibly the greatest goal scorer to ever play when it's all said and done. So what he's been able to accomplish, and especially in this era obviously there's been so many talented players over the last 20 years that have come into this league and, battling in the division that, with him and Crosby and Malkin and so many good players in that division, right? And Giroux, and, there's been so many, and he's lights out every year. He just shows up year in and year out. It's incredible.
No doubt. He's a stud. There's no question about it. All right, that was fun. Now we got to talk about the Ravens. AQ, I saw on the show last week, kind of breaking down some of their offensive calls, and it really did jump out at me. We're having a conversation that's fairly deep here in Baltimore about Greg Roman. It's multifaceted because I don't know that I love necessarily the Greg Roman offense, but I tell you what I love is the fact that outside of last year when they literally lost all of their players, in the 3 years that Greg Roman's been their offense coordinator, the Ravens have had top 7 scoring offenses. And that hasn't always been the case in Baltimore. To me, that's a really good thing. And whatever it looks like, if you're scoring points consistently, I don't care how it is that you go about doing it. I want to do it. There's this flip side argument that the offense is stagnant and that you're not giving Lamar Jackson the opportunity to become the player he's capable of being when you keep him in a system like this. When you watch the Greg Roman system and what the Ravens have done, do you find it to be more of a positive for this team or more of a negative for this team?
I think it's a huge positive. That's what's so interesting in this league to me is I think people see a guy like Lamar, they see a guy like Mahomes, Josh Allen, any of these superstar quarterbacks, and they're like, oh, well, let's just sit back and throw it 50 times a game. You're not going to get good results when you're throwing it 50 times a game, I promise you. Because first of all, defensive lines in this league are absolute nightmares. It makes an offensive line's job horrific if you're going to sit there and ask them to block one-on-one versus, a defensive line that has 4 absolute studs up front, right? So to do that, now you're sitting there and you get a ton of negative plays. You get some sacks. You get these things. And then you're like, oh, well, man, why aren't we running the ball? Well, you got a damn good coordinator that's calling good runs. And I'm telling you, it is so cool for me to break down their run game because one of the cool things you see is you watch a lot of teams in this league, their run game is so predictable. It is the same 5 plays that they run over and over again. If you turn on Baltimore versus the Giants and you're like, oh, okay, cool, let's prepare for that. And then you go play Cincinnati, you turn on Cincinnati's film, the runs that showed up against the Giants don't even show up against Cincinnati. It's a completely different run game. He's a master game planner in the run game, which will only help the passing game. Just be patient with it, I promise. He's very good at what he does.
He is AQ Shipley. He's with us here on GCR. AQ, it's interesting because it felt like early on in the season they were kind of getting away from it a little bit. And I don't know if that was a personnel thing when they didn't have J.K. Dobbins back yet, and certainly they didn't get Gus Edwards back until this week. But it felt like they were almost trying to open things up a little bit more. Is it your belief that what we saw on Sunday against the Browns, where they really seemed to be dedicated and saying, no, this is what we do, this is what's in our DNA, that's their best path towards trying to compete and win a Super Bowl against the likes of the Bills and the Chiefs in the AFC?
I think it's the only way. I mean, honestly, I think, you sit there and even talking to any of these great quarterbacks, they don't want to sit back there and throw it 40 times a game. They don't. They know the run game opens everything up. He's so creative with the run game and with their ability to use Ricard in so many different facets. He's such a X factor in that offense and so cool with what they're able to do. Then you also have Lamar's ability to incorporate in the run game, which, 9 times out of 10, the Chiefs aren't doing. Sure, Josh Allen can do it a little bit, but they're trying to probably limit that as well. But there's so many different possibilities they can do. And then that's only going to open things up for the play action game to Andrews, to the receivers, to everything else. I'm telling you, the run game is everything in this league, and the teams that can sustain it, not only does it help your offense, it also helps your defense because it keeps Mahomes off the field. You control the clock more. It keeps Josh Allen off the field because you're controlling the clock, you're controlling the game. I mean, I'm telling you, the teams that are going to make it in the end are the teams that can control it, run it, and then, have their pass game and throw for 270 to 300 and feel good about a pretty balanced attack.
AQ, is there any awkwardness to this given Lamar's situation, right? That he clearly wants to be able to prove himself. He clearly wants to earn the biggest contract ever given to a quarterback. He wants fully guaranteed. That do you feel like there's any level of awkwardness to him saying, yeah, but I know this is what we do, but I kind of want to open it up and I want to throw it more because I want to get paid more than Deshaun Watson got paid?
He's going to get paid regardless. I think he's an MVP caliber quarterback. He's won an MVP. Everybody knows what my man can do. He is electric on the football field. The biggest thing that has to happen now is, if he just lets his play take care of itself and they start closing games out in the fourth, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, like, they damn near had the lead and a big lead in the third and fourth quarter.
They've had double-digit leads. They've had double-digit leads in all 7 games they played this season.
There you go. So that's what I mean. So they just got to figure out how to close it out. And the crazy thing is with that run game, they should just lean on that in the fourth quarter. Like, there's no reason to sit there and roll out and fumble it against the Giants late in the fourth. Just keep hammering a run game, and you got a great defense. You got a double-digit lead. Just rely on what you do, and then put your defense on the field to close it out. It's pretty simple philosophy. And nobody's even talking about Greg Roman or this team if they close out double-digit leads in the fourth quarter every game, obviously, right? Like, you just got to figure out how to close that.
No question about it. Yeah, I'm in utter agreement. The other part that's insane about the conversation to me, and again, I'm not AQ. When we have this conversation, I'm not maybe as like gung ho. I like the fact that Greg Roman has been the best offensive coordinator and has put together the best offensive years that we've seen in Baltimore. But what's crazy to me is when someone suggests that you fire any coordinator in the middle of a season. And I get it, in 2012, the Ravens did it late in the year, and it worked. They won a Super Bowl when they moved on from Cam Cameron. But, like, firing a coordinator to me is a nuts concept for a good football team. Like, for a team that, as I just mentioned, is the 6th best scoring offense in the NFL right now, to fire a coordinator to do what? Like, this is what you do when you're desperate. This is what you do when things aren't working, when it's bad, because it's very difficult to make that transition. Can you speak to just how kind of insane that scenario would be for a good team that's succeeding to fire a coordinator and create unnecessary upheaval within an organization?
Yeah, in my opinion, it'd be absolutely ludicrous. I mean, it is so hard to get great coordinators in this league, and especially ones with ingenuity, creativity, all the things that you're looking for, being able to, mix and match formations, be able to give you different game plans from week to week, as opposed be able to adapt to personnel. That's the biggest thing we're not talking about. They've been wanting to rely on J.K. Dobbins for 2 years, and they really haven't been able to. And you're getting 100-yard games out of Kenyon Drake, who you pulled from the Raiders 4 weeks ago. You're getting, big games out of Gus Edwards. You're getting, so obviously his system speaks for itself, right? It's very similar to what I'm a big fan of San Fran's offense. You could put my daughter in the backfield in San Fran and she's going to run for 75 yards. You know what I mean? Like, that's the beauty about when you have a good scheme and you're able to run a good system and adapt to the personnel you have and just basically put people in place to go do what you do. And so he's able to do that. He's able to game plan every week. And I love watching this Baltimore team. I really do. And I think they're close to just kind of breaking out. I mean, they're like you said, they're 3/4 quarters away from being undefeated, right?
It's facts. Those are facts. There's no getting around it. AQ, obviously you were just in Tampa the last couple of years. The Ravens are headed down there tomorrow night to play the Buccaneers. And I'm in a weird place where, I've talked to a couple guys in Tampa this week who are like, dude, it's bad. Like, I don't think it's getting fixed, whereas I'm still the guy that says, yeah, that's Tom Brady. I've watched this for way too long for me to just believe that it's over or that he can't wake up tomorrow morning and be Tom Brady again. What do you make of what you've seen this season and how south it's gone? I know that there's like personal stuff going on clearly with Tom specifically, but like, should we assume that the Ravens are going down there and getting the Buccaneers at the right time tomorrow night, or would you almost be worried like, no, they're licking their lips, they're waiting for a chance to prove that, that's still Tom Brady, they're still the Buccaneers?
I think in their minds that's exactly what they're thinking. They'd be foolish not to think that. I think so many people have, for 10 years now, said Tom's done. And, when he's sitting at 4-3 or whatever, 4-2, it's like, oh, he's not the same player. And then he goes out and wins a Super Bowl, right? So it's hard to question him or Bill Belichick at this point. I think so many people still do the same thing with Bill. And he continuously, with teams that you don't think are great, still goes out to find ways to win, right? And so I think very much the same with Tom and that team. They still have a ton of talent. They just have to put it together. I mean, like, that 90% of my job right now is sitting there watching film of everybody every week, and I sit there and I watch, and the execution is just not there. I mean, they have the players on paper. That's still a very talented team. For whatever reason, missed assignments, penalties, mental errors, whatever it may be, is just showing up far too much, and you'd have to expect that will get corrected. Will it? Who knows? I mean, as we've everybody knows there's a lot going on in his personal life. He's the leader of the group, and when he's got as he said early in the year, he's got a lot of shit going on for a 45-year-old. So
Right.
where does that fit in, in terms of, how much he's able to really, truly dial in and be the leader of that group? Is he relying on other guys? I don't know. I just do know when I turn on that film, it's a shell of what I've watched the last 2 years, being down there 2 years ago as a player and last year as a coach.
Wow. Is there an obvious answer to the question of, like, if the Ravens go down tomorrow night and they do exactly what we saw them do against Cleveland, run the ball, try to do they match up well with this Buccaneers team right now?
So, again, on paper, it's as good of a front seven as you could want, right? Like, Vita Vea is probably the best nose guard in football. Will Golston, really good D lineman. They're missing Akeem Hicks, which obviously hurts them a little bit. They got two of the best linebackers in football, but Carolina ran for 150 on them. So it's just not adding up right now. It's not making sense. I can't make sense of it. When I turn on the film, I'm just like, wait, they just ran as simple of a scheme as I just watched Carolina run, and Deontay Foreman doesn't get touched for 60 yards. Like, what is happening right now? So, it's just whether or not those guys fix the errors, correct it, and it's always tough on a short week. So Baltimore's got to be feeling really good about going down there and getting a win against what we thought was going to be one of the better teams in the NFC this year.
All right, you spent 1 year in Baltimore. What do you remember most about your time here?
Honestly, I had a blast that year. It was I get traded there, and I'm competing for the center job. They end up going in a different direction, and then, in my opinion, moving over to guards probably extended my career.
Huh.
And I can't thank them enough, probably, for so many different reasons, because I think until I played guard for Baltimore, so many teams saw me as a 6'1" center that can't play guard. And then I went there and played guard in a really good division against a lot of really good players that year and held my own. And so then, obviously I go on to start a lot of games in different places, but had I not, teams could still view me as a backup swing, which with positional flexibility, being able to play all three. So it was a huge year for me being able to play guard for them, and got to sit there and learn from one of the best in Marshall Yonda and pick his brain all year long about playing guard, and watch a lot of really good football players learn how to be professionals early in my career, that I was able to take a lot of that good stuff into later years in my career.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You were a great dude with us and willing to come out and do events, and man, we loved having you around here. I know, obviously, in the trenches, the Pat McAfee show. What else can I plug for you, AQ Shipley?
So I'm doing, one of my own little projects out here. Former quarterback in the NFL, Drew Stanton, was a backup to Carson Palmer all the years out in Arizona when I was out here. We're doing another podcast called The Bobbled Exchange, kind of as a lighthearted play on not quite a fumbled snap, but just lighthearted talk between center and quarterback.
Okay.
Hitting on all the week's events. So we do that as well. But yeah, the big project right now is In the Trenches with Pat McAfee, and it has been a lot of fun. If you want to see some really cool runs every week, I do a little segment breaking it down and having fun with the boys in a man cave type of setting, which is awesome.
Not a bad crew to be hanging out with, obviously. It seems like it probably doesn't suck to be hanging out with those guys. At AQ at AQ Shipley on Twitter and Instagram is how you follow him. Dude, love doing this. Let's do it again down the road, man. Appreciate you taking the time for us.
Anytime, guys. Let me know.
Thanks, brother. AQ Shipley. Really great dude, and happy to see him finding success now in the media world. And obviously, there's not a whole lot bigger at the moment than the Pat McAfee show. It has become a Goliath within this industry, and a great place for him to be. And he loves Greg Roman. I mean, it makes sense. He's an offensive lineman. This is his thing. He loves that. I want to make this abundantly clear. When I bring someone on, I don't think individually their opinion makes something fact. It's the same thing I say when you guys tell me about what Steve Smith thinks about something, when you guys tell me what, Steve Young thinks about something. I don't think anyone's individual opinion is gospel. And whatever your opinion is, I'm more than willing. Look, I don't necessarily agree with everybody all the time, but I'll talk to you about it. I have no problem doing that. I didn't know how glowing AQ Shipley was going to feel about it. I thought that he liked the system, but I didn't know he was going to be, effusive in his praise. I do 100%. No matter what your opinion is, if you're a person that thinks that a 4-3 football team that has the number 6 scoring offense in the NFL should fire their offense coordinator in the middle of the season, I think you're an insane person. I think you're not mentally entirely there. And I can't shake that. That's unreasonable. That's beyond the pale. It's not sane the way that you think. I think that's what happens when you're in trouble, when things go off the rails, or if there's something else going on that we don't know about, right? Like if really, if internally the Ravens had said to Greg Roman 8 times, we need you to do this, we need you to do this, this is what we expect, and he's just, giving the middle finger, then somebody gets fired despite what the results are. But based on results, stop. You guys, you embarrass yourself. You want to discuss the future of the franchise and what they should be doing offensively moving forward? The end of the year is a great time to do that. And, I might be willing to have that conversation with you at that point. All right, today's show is also brought to you by the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill. You can save $100 when you order a Ginsu Kamado Grill right now by going to ginsugrills.com and using the code TAILGATE. When you go there, ginsugrills.com, use the code TAILGATE, save $100 on your order. We'll come back in. Griffin and I will go over Would You Rather Wednesday. That's next, Glenn Clark Radio. The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at close to $59,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus. Some restrictions apply. Plus a great retirement plan, medical, dental, and vision insurance, advancement to specialized units, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days earned per calendar year, and even further incentives for military members and veterans. If you have a passion for service and want a career for life, visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. You must be a United States citizen, possess a valid driver's license, and have a high school diploma or GED equivalent. The Baltimore County Police Department is an equal opportunity employer.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
Glory Days Grill's Oktoberfest menu is now running. It's one of their most popular seasonal menus all year. It features the chicken schnitzel, the Oktoberfest brewer's platter, the brewer's sausage sandwich, the Bavarian burger with a pretzel bun, the cheddar ale soup, the slam dunk pretzels, and the apple cobbler. All of these meals pair well with Oktoberfest beers and Angry Orchard on draft. Dine in or order online at glorydaysgrill.com and pick up your favorites to take home. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Have you been to Guilford Hall Brewery? Located in Baltimore's Station North neighborhood, Guilford Hall Brewery breaks the craft brew mold with their great handcrafted microbrews and amazing Bavarian-style food selections. Join Guilford Hall 7 days a week for Orioles, Ravens, and all of your favorite college games. Make plans now to watch the big games, play trivia, or bring your dog for Yappy Hour. They even have free valet service on Friday and Saturday nights. Go to guilfordhall.com for a complete schedule of events, beer listings, and food and drink specials. We'll see you at Guilford Hall Brewery.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today. Tune in to Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday at 11:40 a.m. And if you really have nothing better to do, keep listening to this show too.
All right, back in here on GCR. It's time for us to go over our answers for Would You Rather Wednesday. If you have not picked up the new print issue of Press Box yet, I would encourage you to do that right now. Kevin Willard's on the cover. He's the new basketball coach at the University of Maryland. Of course, Stan the Fan and I sat down with him for a lengthy conversation about the situation that he inherits as he heads into season number 1 at Maryland. Really great chat. You can find that. Plus, we introduce you to college basketball players from every program, men's and women's, in the area. Again, all available inside the new print issue of Press Box, available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms and at the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. Would You Rather Wednesday, as always, is brought to you by Glory Days Grill. Griffin, would you rather Ravens remain as committed to the run as they were on Sunday the rest of the year, or open it back up the way they were earlier in the season? For those of you that are trying to tweet, well, they should change it week by week. No. This is not – you're answering a question I'm not asking. We're playing Would You Rather. I don't need you to tell me how smart you are. Would you rather is one or the other. And as always, where's Carson? Where's young Carson? You're very pretty. You're very do me a favor. Get in touch with Carson Weekly.
See if he can come on.
And I want you to have him record an audio drop, all right, on his phone, however he does it, him saying, you guys are very pretty. And when we get to these situations,
I'll just play it.
I want you to have it available like you did the Taco Bell bong when you were doing your Taco Bell thing. I want you to have it available when I say, you guys need to hear that you're pretty, and then you can hit it, and Carson Weekly can tell everyone they're very pretty. Can you please take responsibility for that?
Yeah. Well, if he asked to be paid for this,
it's recording the 3 words.
Well, I mean, but if we're gonna be using it daily,
I don't know if we're gonna use it. No, he's Carson Weekly.
It seems like we need to use it a lot.
No. Carson Weekly.
You're right. Okay.
Not daily. That's a different guy. Carson Weekly is who we have. All right. You deal with that. Do not offer him. Just say, Carson, I think he'd get a kick out of it.
Oh, yeah.
All right?
I know.
So reach out. Just say, because what we're going to do if he says no is we're going to record somebody else saying, hi, I'm Carson Weekly, and you're very pretty, despite the fact they're not Carson Weekly. We're just going to steal it, right? That's the way it's going to go. So just see if he'd be willing to do that for us. I like Carson. He's a good kid. All right.
Well, so after talking to AQ Shipley,
it seems
quite obvious what the answer is. Before we talked to him, I was kind of thinking, the passing, just because it was more fun, seeing the Ravens.
By the way, Marshall Yonda has 1 L in his name.
Did I spell it wrong?
It's a name we should know how to spell around here. It's fine. Life will go on. Just
darn it.
We need to know how to spell Marshall Yonda. There's some names that we should just know how to spell. That's all. If you get something wrong, you get somebody wrong who hasn't played it. If you get Steve Lombardozzi wrong, so be it, right? He was here for 3 minutes. Marshall Yonda's a Hall of Fame Baltimore athlete. Definitely.
We know him as Yonda.
No, that's not a thing. You're deflecting now.
Anyway, when we were passing a lot more, I felt like it was more fun just seeing higher scoring games. Mm-hmm. But I think a healthier, a stronger running game will lead to more wins and hopefully closing out wins. So I think I'd rather see us, run the ball a lot more heavy here in the second half of the season.
Look, Ken Zales says let's open it up. Cy, let's open it up. Not only does this brand of football not guarantee a win, but it's boring as hell, speaking to what you were talking about with the excitement. My man Fields, fully commit to the run and engineer the passing game around it, a la 2019. The entire passing league has seen a decline in scoring as defenses have adjusted. By the way, I think it's really interesting. We're still holding up the Bills and the Chiefs, who of course are built around insanely incredible quarterbacks. But who are the other contenders this year? I think Jalen Hurts has been exceptional, but do we think that the Eagles are the team that wants to go out and win a 45-42 shootout? I don't think so at all. Who are the other contenders? The era of it being dominated by the best quarterbacks winning shootouts, maybe the Bengals are getting back there, right? Maybe they're trending back towards that direction where they'll join that conversation again as being a Super Bowl threat. They've certainly looked much better in, the last week, for sure. They look much better. In the last 2 weeks, they've looked much better. But Justin Herbert, how's that going in San Diego? No, not San Diego, in L.A. It's interesting to me. Are we seeing a shift? are we seeing a shift away from the you have to have the greatest quarterback of all time in order to win the Super Bowl to something that's
like air raid offenses, or
I don't know what this would be described as. Because I don't know how to explain the Jets and the Giants, for example. I don't know how to explain.
Yeah.
Like part of it is Geno Smith has played really well in Seattle, but that's not like is passing defense catching up? Like in Seattle, their secondary is again becoming a huge part of the story as to why Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant, for example, are massive parts of the story as to why they've been far better than anybody else thought they could be this year. I don't know the answer to these questions, but it's interesting to me as we get deeper, as we have more evidence this season, that I don't know that it's a certainty that it's just going to be the best quarterbacks are going to be the Super Bowl winners this year. Might very well play out that way. I think we all believe the Bills are the favorites at the moment, and they've got the best quarterback at the moment. I don't know. It's interesting as we monitor that. Shauna, run game, please. Skip, run game. Dylan, the Panthers ran all over the Bucs, so I don't see why we couldn't. At the same time, though, the Bucs secondary is decimated, so you'd like to see us spread things out and let Bateman and Duvernay cook, but I'm going to go with Pound the Rock. It was an adventure to get there. It was all over all over the place. I like it when you explain your work. I do appreciate those of you that when you participate with Would You Rather Wednesday, you don't just say one word, you explain your work. John Proctor, I puke rather see. I think that he said puke, and I think he meant something else. I think Proctor meant to say I would rather see. I think he's probably doing a talk to text. I would rather see a return to run first to open up the pass. Okay. And Mark, run the ball every play, no punt, no defense, just run. The other team gets to play offense. Tell them no, then run. I actually kind of like that answer. I'm good with it. All right, number 2. Would you rather work for $70,000 a year as Billy McFarland's assistant on whatever his new Fire Festival project is, or work for $75,000 traveling around to the various area Taco Bell restaurants cleaning their bathrooms?
I mean, I'm inclined to say the assistant job.
It's
because
much,
I mean I don't know a whole ton about what.
Less disgusting. Did you not watch the Fire Festival documentaries?
No, I didn't.
What world are this?
I'm
is not
sorry.
because I'm old. This was 2 years ago.
I know. I just didn't watch.
What are you doing with your life?
I don't know. I guess I'm watching.
It's all anybody talked about for about 6 months in our country. The hell is going on here? All right.
Is it really that bad to be an assistant?
Well, I don't know. That's the problem.
Oh, okay.
What he did was
I'll find out for $70,000.
He seemed like he was having a great time until we realized it wasn't real, and then everybody was in hell, and they realized they weren't getting paid, and they were about to be.
So I will get paid though.
Well, enough that you're going to keep doing it, and then at some point does the pay stop? Is the question, right? Like he got to the end, and all of a sudden the house crumbled. It fell apart.
I would like to avoid.
I was talking about Billy McFarland yesterday. You were nodding along like you knew what you were talking about. You're a liar.
I wasn't saying much. I was just
but you were nodding along like it was a thing.
Mike knew what you were talking about, so
because apparently Mike has gone outside. What do you do with your...
Well, no, it sounds like I actually have been outside, and you've been inside watching.
No. In the world, we all talk to other people. In order to have conversation, we discuss the things that other people are talking about. They're watching shows, so we want to watch them too.
Nobody in my clique.
I don't know who's in your group. But if all of them somehow avoided... Literally 2 different documentaries by the only 2... Hulu did one and Netflix did one. It was the biggest thing in the world. I don't even know what to say to you.
Anyway, I would like to avoid having to clean bathrooms across the country, so I'll take my chances and see what Billy wants me to do.
Most people are signing up for that. But, again, I think many of them have forgotten... Do you not remember? Hang on a second. Do you really not remember the face of this guy? Like this was.
I'm looking at the article that you linked.
What? That's about him starting the new thing. That's not about. That's about him starting a new project and trying to do a new Fire Festival. Hang on a second. Do you not remember seeing this guy? This was the most popular internet meme for forever. This guy.
Oh, yeah, I do remember seeing that guy.
So that guy was the guy that was working for Billy McFarland that was gay, and when they needed water for the festival and they hadn't paid to get their water, Billy McFarland said, how about you go take one for the team? And this image of him talking about it in the Fire Festival documentary became the most popular image ever.
Got
so
it.
I just want you to be aware.
Yeah, I just had no clue what that picture was from.
Understand when all of you say, I'm going to take my chances being Billy McFarland's assistant, understand you're signing up to be this guy.
Got it.
Potentially.
Got it.
I don't know that
potential's there.
History may or may not repeat itself, but be aware that could be the expectation for you in your role given the man's track record.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
So maybe taking a little bit more money to go clean bathrooms doesn't seem so bad after all.
I mean, yeah, I guess if I probably get to eat at the Taco Bell too.
Presumably, if you're working for Taco Bell, you do get, and we do know that you love Taco Bell. You might get $28 worth of Taco Bell for free every time.
God,
By the way, that guy was tweeting about it last night. The guy, because Micah posted a video.
Oh, he did.
And the guy, the Scotty Markets guy, retweeted it.
Oh, he did?
Hang on a second. Let me see if I can find out what he said.
Awesome.
The guy that was responsible for the $28.
The Fox News guy?
Yeah, the guy said...
Oh, no.
It's a finely done meal, and yes, the key is really the frozen drink gets lost in the shuffle. I don't know what that means. That's the key, that it gets lost in the shuffle. I don't really know, because I made sure you consumed it before it melted.
Yeah.
Like, that was the important part to me, is that it couldn't melt. It had to be. That's an interesting response. But yeah, Scotty Markets chimed in last night about your challenge, and somebody else chimed in to say thank you for your service. So we got that going for us.
Awesome.
Nice.
Appreciate that. Yeah, so I guess I'll go with the bathrooms then. I guess because I get to eat Taco Bell.
I just don't.
But then I'm cleaning up Taco Bell. I don't know.
I just don't. Look, whatever. Anyway, number 3. Would you rather bet $1,000? I've had people ask. The odds are roughly the same. They're slightly better for the Packers. That's part of the reason why we did it the way that we did it. Would you rather bet $1,000 on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers figuring it out and hitting their win total over of 9.5, or bet $1,250 on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers figuring it out and hitting their win total over of 8.5?
I think I want to go with the Buck. What are the Packers are what 2-5? They're not 2-5, are they?
No, they're both 3-4.
Oh, they're both 3-4. Okay. But I mean, I still feel like the NFC South is probably easier.
That's what most people are falling back.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows if the Bears are good now? I mean, even though the Packers, I guess, typically own the Bears, but I think the NFC South is an easier division, and it's Tom Brady,
but
and he still has Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I purposely
didn't make it making the playoffs because obviously the path to the playoffs is much easier for the Buccaneers than it is for the Packers. But I specifically made it win totals. They still have to get to 10.
Yeah.
They have to get to 10 wins.
I'll still take I'll still take the Bucs.
Understand, they got to win 7. Right now they're 3-4. All right? There's 10 games left. They have to win 7 of 10 games.
So 7 of 9 because they're losing tomorrow.
Right. Well, then, if you think that, then yes, they'd have to win 7 of 9.
Can I pull up their schedule, or is this I got to make a decision right now?
I mean, we don't. It's 12:07. We got to take another break, so keep that in mind.
Okay.
I mean, like,
I'll still go with the Bucs just because I don't. I mean, I guess it's technically not, and it's less money I'm betting, so I'll take. That's why I'll stick with the Bucs because I don't want to go against Tom Brady.
Here's the schedule. So there's this right tomorrow night, which you think is a loss. They have the Rams at home. After that,
that's got to be a get-right game. Got to be.
They have the Seahawks in. I want to say that game is in Germany. I want to say it's not in America. I know that much.
Oh, okay.
They have the Seahawks in Europe. Then they're at the Browns. I believe
that's before Watson. Yeah.
Oh, is it before Watson? Do the Browns have their bye before they? All right, the Browns. I don't know when the.
Yeah, so it's like week 12 or 13. It's week 13.
It's November 27th. I would think the Browns would have had their bye and would have played. I think that might be the game where he's supposed to come back. I think that might be week 12. Yeah. So
okay.
Well,
we'll
see.
The
Browns team at Deshaun Watson potentially. Then they're home for the Saints. Then they're at the 49ers. Then they're home for the Bengals. They're at the Cardinals. Ooh. Then they're the last two. They're home for the Panthers and at the Falcons.
That's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, Packers have
right,
Lions this week. I'm gonna stick with the Bucs. I'm gonna stick with the Bucs.
More Bucs than Packers, but I think that's only because people are thinking about the division. I don't think people are thinking about the difficulty of actually getting to 10 wins. That is a significant number. I obviously don't like either of them, and I don't want to make either bet, but it is Would You Rather Wednesday. I'll go with the Packers simply because it's a smaller number. That's the only reason I'll make that decision. They still get to play the Bears and the Lions. Like they should be able to win those games. There's only one good team in that division. And they've already played them once. And number 4, the bonus, Would You Rather, with CBS announcing that Ian Eagle will take over Final Four responsibilities. Would you rather be Ian, Jim Nantz, or Kevin Harlan that be their lead NFL announcer and call the Super Bowl?
That's it's I mean, I think you have to pick Harlan. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. It's a
very difficult
it
one.
Is,
and the argument
because
that
I mean, I really do. I love all three of them. I guess the ranking, if I had to rank them, I would go Harlan, Eagle, and Nance for football. Like for when they call them football, I guess that's the order I go in. So Harlan, I want him for the Super Bowl.
All right, very good. Continue to get me your responses at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio. Somebody's winning a $25 gift card to Glory Days Grill. We'll come back in for Tidbit and Tuba to wrap it up. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Have you been to Guilford Hall Brewery? Located in Baltimore's Station North neighborhood, Guilford Hall Brewery breaks the craft brew mold with their great handcrafted microbrews and amazing Bavarian-style food selections. Join Guilford Hall 7 days a week for Orioles, Ravens, and all of your favorite college games. Make plans now to watch the big games, play trivia, or bring your dog for Yappy Hour. They even have free valet service on Friday and Saturday nights. Go to guilfordhall.com for a complete schedule of events, beer listings, and food and drink specials. We'll see you at Guilford Hall Brewery.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
What's up, everyone? This is Tyus Bowser, and I'm excited to tell you that I'm back with Season 2 of The Tyus Bowser Show in partnership with Pressbox and Great H Memorabilia. Join us on Tuesday nights throughout the season as I'll be heading all over town with my special guests. And, of course, our co-hosts, Glenn and Rita. Or is it Rita and Glenn? What is it? I look forward to meeting you guys and talking a little bit about football and a lot about life. And if you happen to miss the show, you can now catch a replay Friday nights on 105.7 The Fan. Get all of your details for The Tyus Bowser Show right now at PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser.
The next Tyus Bowser Show is Tuesday, November 1st at the Hamilton Sports Bar and Grill, 5506 Hartford Road. It's brought to you by Maryland Vascular Specialists and the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Leon Twyman and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and offer you a few winners. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stecca and Alloy Sports' Brad Kronthal help make you some money for the weekend. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
Glory Days Grill's Oktoberfest menu is now running. It's one of their most popular seasonal menus all year. It features the chicken schnitzel, the Oktoberfest brewer's platter, the brewer's sausage sandwich, the Bavarian burger with a pretzel bun, the cheddar ale soup, the slam dunk pretzels, and the apple cobbler. All of these meals pair well with Oktoberfest beers and Angry Orchard on draft. Dine in or order online at glorydaysgrill.com and pick up your favorites to take home. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
Check out Jeremy Kahn's daily picks at PressBoxOnline.com as he tries to find you daily winners. And speaking of winners, here's a man who once won a media curling contest, and I don't think anything else. He's Glenn Clark.
All right, winding down for a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program. Let's get a tidbit of the day brought to you by the Ginsu Kamado Grill. It is the perfect ceramic home grill or tailgating for smoking, searing, baking, grilling, all kinds of food. Save $100 when you use the code TAILGATE when you go to ginsugrills.com.
Did you see what Russell Wilson was doing on the plane over to London?
I did not.
Apparently, he was stretching and doing like dynamic stretches on like the aisles for 4 hours of the 8-hour plane ride
weirdo.
over to London. That's where they are.
Weirdo.
And apparently Hackett said he looked really good and he might be able to play
Great.
Sunday.
Cool.
All right, so the Buccaneers are plus 1.5 point underdogs against the Ravens tomorrow night. Tom Brady, since joining the Buccaneers, he is 5-1 against the spread as an underdog, and he is also 3-0 against the spread as a home underdog. Just to
That's
some
great.
facts to
Like,
throw
that's
out there.
Not a great sign. I don't like that.
Yeah, so that led me to my question, which is I wanted to know of the active quarterbacks in the National Football League, which can you name? How many of the top? Well, I mean, you'll be able to name them all. Can you name the top 10 guys with the highest winning percentage against the spread, or highest record against the spread? Yes,
Quarterbacks
active
with
quarterbacks.
the best winning percentage against the spread. Top, you said 10?
Yeah, let's go 10.
Okay, let's go with Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is in the top 10. He is 8th. He is 8th with 131
is there
wins. It's a 562.
Is there like a number of games they had to have? Like, is there a minimal?
Guys.
What's the smallest number?
The smallest number is he's in his 3rd season, I guess.
Right, so Josh Allen.
Yes, Josh Allen, right, 2 spots ahead of Aaron Rodgers with a 569.
Mahomes.
Winning percentage against the spread. Mahomes is right behind A-Rod.
We're
550.
Of course, we should be counting Brady as one of the 10, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
He is 5th. Tom Brady, 213 wins against the spread, 580 winning percentage.
This is what, Burrow.
Burrow is number 3. Yes, he's 23, 12, and 1, 638 winning percentage.
So, your gut tells you that it's not Matt Stafford. Your gut tells you that because the Lions' years were so bad that it's not Matt Stafford.
And your gut would be telling you correctly because he is he is 89 and 102, 456
that makes sense.
Against the spread.
It was very bad for a very long time. However, I'll still think that Russell Wilson is on the list.
Russell Wilson is not in the top 10.
That's surprising.
He is middle of the road. He's 92 and 82, 511.
That's a bit surprising.
Winning percentage.
Dak
is just outside of the top 10. He's 11th. He's 11th, 49 and 41, 538.
Kirk Cousins,
not in the top 10.
That's also surprising.
Cousins, 503. He's right above 500.
Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill, not in the top 10. He is also he's
really weird.
One game above 500.
Has Jalen Hurts played enough to make the list?
He has.
Okay.
He has,
right.
and he's so he's tied for 10th. Tied for 10th, technically. Okay, because he's tied with Dak with a 538.
So then Dak was on the list.
Did you say Dak?
I did.
Oh, okay. Didn't I? I thought
you told me he was outside the top 10.
Oh, okay. Because I was
if he's
misreading
tied for 10th, that means he's 10th. That means he's on the list. But it's cool. Don't worry about it. Kyler Murray.
Oh, they're tied for 11th, so they're technically not in the top 10.
Oh my
I
God.
miscounted. I'm sorry. Kyler Murray's not in the top 10
either. Justin Herbert.
Herbert not in the top 10.
I don't know who these 5 guys are going to be. Matt Ryan still somehow is there.
No, he's not.
Yeah, I didn't think you so. I don't think Joe Flacco would be either.
No, Joe Flacco is 49.
Yeah.
How's that? Oh, yeah, I guess that's right.
I have no idea then who could.
You were missing
Baker Mayfield?
No, not Baker
Who
Mayfield.
The hell? Garoppolo.
Garoppolo,
sure.
yes. 603.
Yeah, Garoppolo.
He is 4th.
And then
so you're missing the top 2.
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr, nope, not in the top 10.
That's surprising. All right, just tell me because it's 12-17.
The top 2 backup in Miami, Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay,
He is the best.
For God's sake.
42 and 21,
right.
656.
Okay.
Right behind him, Tua, 640.
All right. I should have guessed
against the
I should
spread.
have guessed that one.
Winning percentage against the spread, and then Geno Smith's up there, 564 as in his career as a starter against the spread.
How about that?
Who else did you miss? You got Mahomes. You got and Daniel Jones rounds out the top 10. 23 and 19 against the spread.
I am surprised by that. This comes from Doug Clausen on Twitter. He is a researcher and writer for CBS Sports. Josh Allen can beat Lamar Jackson's Ravens, Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs, and Aaron Rodgers' Packers all in October. He can become the first quarterback since Troy Aikman in 1996 to beat 3 MVP quarterbacks in a 4-game span. Do you want to venture a guess as to who the quarterbacks were that Troy Aikman defeated in 1996? I'm asking someone who was who was not alive.
Yeah,
who was not alive. Never mind. We're not going to do
the MVPs.
Never mind. There's no way. You just don't study the game the way.
Steve Young.
Steve Young would be one of them. You got that?
How many? So it was 3, 4.
Three of them.
Yeah, I have no clue who the other MVP quarterbacks of the '90s would be.
Mm-hmm. They're all very famous.
Marino,
yes.
All right. Who are the other good quarterbacks of that era?
Uh-huh.
I just got to think of teams that were good.
Extraordinarily famous. Like they could not. None of these are tricks. They're all Hall of Famers. They're all very famous quarterbacks.
So Aikman beat Montana. Not Montana. Beat Young and Marino. Yeah, I know. I was just thinking of the first
I guess
49ers.
Montana could have been in Kansas City at that point.
Dang. Give me.
Well, he's an MVP and a Hall of Famer.
That's a lot of guys.
Been in the news recently.
He has?
Yes.
Who's been in the news recently?
Oh, God.
MVP quarterback.
Not for good reasons.
Oh, Favre?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Brett Favre.
Brett Favre?
The third of the three.
All right.
I
got it.
Tubular is brought to you by the Tyus Bowser Show, which returns next Tuesday night, November 1st. We'll be at the Hamilton Sports Bar and Grill with Tyus and his special guest. Find out more, PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. Tyus Bowser Show is a partnership of PressBox and Great 8's Memorabilia. It's brought to you by Maryland Vascular Specialists and the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill. Ain't nothing to see here. That's the reality. Loyola Soccer, come to hang out with us tonight as Loyola takes on American. Oh, no, sorry. It's a women's soccer. Bucknell and Loyola playing elsewhere. You can't come hang out with us. You can watch it, however, on ESPN+.
That's a big match. Two of my best friends from middle school, they're twins. They one went to Bucknell, one went to Loyola. So it's
huge
definitely
moment, no doubt.
Big night in the
ESPN Nets Bucks at 7:30, Lakers Nuggets at 10. TNT's got Rangers Islanders at 7:30, Lightning Ducks at 10. CBS Sports Network for the Golazo Show today at 3. All the Champions League games are on Paramount Plus and TBS for AEW Dynamite at 8. Like I said, ain't nothing to see here. Non-sports?
Not actually a little bit more than the past 2 nights. Survivor, new episode. Aubrey Plaza will be on Stephen Colbert. And then Josh Gad and Fred Armisen will be on James Corden.
Okay.
And then the Black Panther cast will be on Jimmy Kimmel. Then Fallon will have Selena Gomez. Then new episode of Documentary Now on IFC. A new episode of Andor on Disney Plus, and then Tales of the Jedi, a little animated series short thing that is out on Disney Plus. If you're a Star Wars fan, which Glenn is,
huge. This is everything I could ask for in the world.
It's the season 2 finale of the D'Amelio Show on Hulu.
Wait a second. What's going on with that?
Nothing.
Did you ever?
No.
All right, we're taking matters into our own hands.
Okay.
We're taking matters into our own hands.
Okay. Thanks.
Why would you not?
Because it's pointless.
What do you mean it's pointless? Not doing it is pointless.
I would be nowhere. It would be no different if I had done it or not done it.
You're saying things. The point is, 1, you never know. 2, you can get a little bit of attention, which is a good thing. Not doing it is pointless. That's the pointless part, is when you don't do something, when you don't try to get attention, when you don't put something out there and show creativity. God.
Okay. And The Good Nurse is on Netflix movie.
We're taking matters into our own hands. We're going to deal with that.
Okay.
Mike and I will handle that responsibility for you, since you're unwilling to put yourself out there in some sort of way with a Dixie, the Demolition Man.
Yes.
The fact that you're willing to do that.
Keep trying.
Shameful. Thanks today to
Apologies.
Brian. Thanks to Brian Billick. Thanks to AQ Shipley. Thanks to Drew Forrester. Thanks to Billy Edwards. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. On the program tomorrow, we will continue. We're going to try to do weekly segments reflecting on the 10th anniversary of the Ravens Super Bowl win. The second Super Bowl win, Super Bowl 47. We will catch up with the offensive coordinator, Jim Caldwell, tomorrow. Of course, we'll do picks. Do we have anything else?
Stuff and things.
All
A weekend at Bookies.
Very good. That's all coming up tomorrow. Thanks, everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Baltimore County Police Department, Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, Guilford Hall Brewery, Great 8's Memorabilia, the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, Maryland Vascular Specialist, the all-new Ginsu Kamado Grill, your local Toyota dealer, and buyatoyota.com. Thanks mostly to Griffin at Griffin_Bass is how you follow him. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go Loyola Soccer. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks too.